Time now. I call this meeting to order. Please join us as John Black leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, John. Okay, roll call, please.
Stuck in traffic. I knew you would. Only you got here sooner than I thought you would. Jeez. Poor baby. To the my traffic is awful. Oh, thank you very much. All right. I know.
District 1 Supervisor Oberg is an excused absence. District 3 Supervisor Michaels is also an excused absence. Member Jim Peterson. Jim, you want to unmute yourself?
I thought I was. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes,
we
sir.
can hear you. Good, thanks, Jim.
Member Kevin Osterman.
Present.
Member Connie Cantelmi.
Yes, present.
Member Mary Shaquin.
Present.
Member John Black.
Here.
Member Joseph Chevroletti is an excused absence. Member Sandra Laney.
Here.
Member Vincent Gallegos is going to be late and
Okay.
attending via WebEx.
Wonderful, good. He'll check in when he gets online, I'm sure.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, and of course, this meeting is for the Yavapai County Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, and we are conducting this hearing in accordance with the Arizona Open Meeting Laws pursuant to ARS 38-43102 and BOLEG 2. Anyways, do we have any a disclosure of any ex parte contacts? Yes, Mary?
Yes, I actually did a presentation to the BB Real board meeting this last Friday, because they were having some questions about process and everything else. So
Okay.
I have advocated with them and shared the process, and that we will have a whole public process coming up later, but also shared with them again the entire page that has all the surveys on it, so that we can get more people getting surveys. I think we need to do more marketing on getting the word out to get community people responding to all of the surveys. And that page on the website is amazing, that gives every single survey, because
Yeah, it does.
I don't know how people tend to lose sight of it, and I keep sending emails out, but, you know, they don't read them or they get lost or whatever, so.
Well, thank you for your part in that. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it. And as I understand, John Black is going to be developing some additional survey questions for us, perhaps, that we'll make
Yes,
available in the
in the
future.
past, I have said we need to get more public input on our survey questions, because we've not asked the public what questions that should be on the survey. So I'm right now going through the various vision statements that have been submitted to the county and extracting the survey questions where I can get them, and try to come up with some, a set of surveys that we could put online that would actually be based on concerns expressed by the public.
Very good, and hopefully we'll be able to review those in April. So
I'm planning to submit my proposed list of survey questions derived from the vision statements in our next meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Okay, let's see. We need an approval of the minutes for the February 10th, 2022 CPAC meeting.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Mary Shaquin. Do I have a second? John Black has seconded it. Do we have any corrections that need to be made on the minutes? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please signify by raising your hand. It appears we have a unanimous vote there. Thank you. Okay, I've generally explained the meeting procedures in the past. Essentially, Robert's Rules of Order as best we can. We try not to all talk at the same time. And other than that, we're doing this once again in accordance with the ARS 38-431.02. First thing in new business is going to be the vision statement. The committee, we've reviewed, we've edited, we've reviewed, we've edited, and now I think we just need to kind of make a decision, for the time being at least, that this is a pretty good start. So I need a motion or discussion, or both, on the vision statement. Yes, Mary?
Question, which vision statement are we using? The one that's currently on the website, or the one that has edits in it as reported in the minutes?
As I understand it, the one that's on the website is the edited.
No, it's not.
It's not, okay. Oh,
It's
interesting.
the one we talked about last time, but there were edits from some of us.
Right.
during
Yeah,
the
it's just
meeting.
1, 2 line, Mr. Chairman, if I may. This is
Yes,
Kazi.
please, Kazi, yes.
Yeah, Kazi Hawk, Land Use Planning Manager. We will update the new one, but the one you're approving is the one with the corrected one.
Okay, the
Okay,
correct.
so that the notes, from the notes in the minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
the one we approved.
Wonderful, okay, good, fantastic. Does anyone have any questions, any comments, any additions, corrections?
Please, no comment.
Okay, if I could have a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Mary Shaquin has moved, and I believe, John, you look like you seconded it. Well, since we've already tried discussion, all in favor signify by raising your hand. Wonderful, good, we have a vision statement. And once again, nothing's cast in concrete. As time goes on, if we see a word that needs to be changed, something that needs to be corrected, we can do that. It's our vision statement still. We're just trying to put something down on paper and make it work. Okay, today is going to be kind of an interesting day. First thing we're going to do is Jessica Sarkisian is going to provide us a presentation on the surveys that have been conducted. And then we're going to go from there into the growth area plan for our new business. We should have area maps distributed around pretty well between the separate rooms. And today we're going to do a little bit of coloring. We're going to identify what we consider to be the high growth areas, or we're going to identify which are the growth areas and which aren't, and try to prioritize them as best we can. We're going to be developing boundaries. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be coloring today. I'm going to try and get everyone out of here by noon. I don't think we don't have a plan to serve up lunch. So if you want to stick around after noon, you're going to be kind of on your own nickel as far as feeding yourself. But that's going to be our new business. And then of course we'll jump into our other business, which includes upcoming items of interest for the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee, a roundtable for committee members on any topics not included in the agenda, and a call to the public. So that's our game plan for the day. So with that said, I think it's time for us to go to Jessica and let Jessica provide us with with her presentation, and I'll be quiet. We're in the process of sorting out a few technical issues, and then Jessica will jump into her presentation.
Logged in, because I have to get into the network too, I'm not on the internet.
Do you have it on a thumb drive or
Yeah.
something? Just, you can use my computer, just.
Yeah, go ahead, use that computer, it'll be a lot
Okay.
easier.
Will that work for you?
Yeah, you just need to be on the WebEx. Get on the web.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to introduce our planner, John Frock. He's working for Leah Brock.
Oh, good.
So I'd like to, and he's going to be very instrumental with our project here, the
Well,
comprehensive plan.
welcome,
He's
John.
got over 30 years of experience. He used to be the former director for Glendale, City of Glendale.
Fantastic.
Development Service
Very
Department.
good.
Look forward to working with you. Thanks, Kazi.
All right, I'll make you a present.
So funny.
Yeah, he's quite the
Yeah, he's
character.
a good guy.
He's a good shot, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, if you see him again, tell him I
I
said
will.
hi.
No, I will.
Yeah, you just put that on stage.
He'll laugh when you tell him what I'm up to now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anytime you're ready, we're ready for you, Jessica.
She is just getting logged
Cool.
in here.
Right now presenting.
you.
Yeah, coffee's working.
Please work. And you are starting to share content.
Okay.
There you go.
It's right up there, perfect.
Beautiful.
There's our list.
Do you want me to use smaller print?
There we go. Does that work?
Beautiful.
All right.
Can everybody see it over there?
Let's see, can you see it over on your side of the
Yes.
birdie? Okay.
Perfect. So these are the survey results as of Monday. Originally, we had 187 survey respondents for the original elements, and then we added transportation and growth area, which we got 54 new survey since then. So it covers, these are the elements that it covers that I'm going to be going over, and we separated out by district. However, we'll talk about it for transportation and growth. We weren't able to do that at the last minute. So this is just some information for you guys. So I'm going to go through real quick for District 1 results. The first, I'm going to go through each element and show each district, and then the next element, each district, next element. So open space, we had 21 submissions in District 1. You'll see overwhelmingly in open space, everybody's interested in preserving open space and rural and urban areas. It's usually very high in all the districts, around 90% or higher. This is 100%. 63% felt that existing recreational spaces in their area was overburdened or out of space, and 48% that there were not enough existing. So although in each survey there was probably 10 to 15 questions, I showed the ones that are the most overwhelming or more supportive, or if they were equally divided, so you guys can see it better, because otherwise you'd never get through it. It's quite a bit of information. The full Excel spreadsheet is on the website for if you want to dive into those. In District 2, preserving open space in rural areas was at 96%, with only 4% unsure. And in District 2, OHV usage was the issue that they were concerned about. And equally divided between no and yes. If denser development, they would prefer that to compensate for larger open space areas. In District 3, there were only 5 submissions, 90 to 100% in preserving open space. And there was also mixed concern about OHV usage in that community. District 4 was only 8 submissions. Everybody wanted to preserve open space in rural and urban areas. Again, OHV usage was a problem at 68%. And then 63%, you can see here, were unsure if they prefer denser development, with 13% unsure they prefer denser development to protecting open spaces. District 5 only had 3 submissions. District 5 across the board had the least amount of survey responses, just so you're aware. But however, preserving open space in rural areas was 100% agreement. They felt that they were 100% overburdened and out of recreational space, and 33% were unsure about denser development. So they were kind of equally divided. They felt denser development would produce more open space areas. They were in favor. Moving on to food sustainability, 26 submissions in District 1. Public health was a large concern. So these are kind of interesting. And you start getting just people's preferences about lifestyle choices, about how they felt public health was an issue, but only felt 54% felt it was because of obesity. And then 68% felt that fresh food was easily accessible in their area. And you'll see these change throughout the districts and things like that. In District 2, there were 25 submissions. Public health was a concern at 72%, and 60% felt it was because of obesity. And 72% felt that fresh food was accessible. And only 44%, less than half, felt it was readily available to everyone. District 3 was 17 submissions. Again, public health concern at 71%. Obesity and fresh food were the equally divided concern about why there was a health concern. And second to that was the need to encourage home gardens and seasonal gardening over community gardens. They felt it was more important for home gardens than community gardens. District 4 had 7 submissions. Public health was a concern at 57%. Only 29 of those felt obesity was a concern. And 71% in this district felt fresh food was not easily accessible. And 57% felt it was not readily available to everyone. So you can start seeing the differences between accessibility and transportation in areas. And then District 5, there was only 1 response, and they felt public health was a concern. They were unsure, but they did feel fresh food was readily available to everybody. For cost of development in District 1, 1/3 felt that the county is able to respond to citizens' needs and concerns and should work in public-private partnership to serve these needs. and 46% of the county felt the county should let me move this, I can't see. Was that maybe? Oh, no. Can't read this. Go back to that. Preemptively rezoned properties to match land use was 46%, and 77% were opposed to the county seeking grants and federal funding to incentivize new development. 84% said development should cover its own costs. So some of these are interesting because it also helps you understand when you're going out in the community. For instance, possibly in District 1, maybe the education of what federal funding and grants mean. Maybe they just don't understand how that it's not a tax upon themselves and things like that. So that might be some information to go out to your district. And District 2, there were 31 submissions. 19%, only 19% felt the county is able to respond to citizens' needs and concerns. It was equally divided between existing residents and landowners who should pay into the roadways and utilities. 52% were opposed to the county seeking grants and funding again, and 94% said development should cover its own costs. So again, education there would be helpful. District 3, 3 submissions. 2/3 of the county felt that they cannot respond to citizens' needs and concerns, and they should work in public-private partnership to solve this area of need. And 100% were opposed to the county acquiring new sites and felt development should pay its own way. So you see in different areas that there's people who feel that the county should preemptively rezone, and then other areas are like, no, we shouldn't. The county shouldn't be in charge of any of those kind of things in purchasing properties. District 4, there were 31 submissions, and only 19% felt the county is responding to citizens' needs and concerns. I forgot the charts here. And then 33% existing residents and landowners should pay into the roadways and utility updates. And then again, 52%, half were opposed to seeking grants and federal funding, and then 94% said they should cover their own costs in development. And District 5 had 0 submissions. I'm reading water resources in District 1. 92% were concerned about future water use, and 88% think the county should preserve the waterways in the area and promote them as recreational development. And 71% of the wells, of those that had wells, noted their water level had gone down over the last 5 years, but not run dry. District 2 at 33 submissions, 100% again were concerned about water in the county, and 88% think they should preserve waterways in the county and promote them for recreational development. 50% of those had wells, also noticed that the water level had gone down, but 89% had not run dry. District 3, 100% were concerned about water. Most important seemed the preservation of waterways in the area. And so the question was, do you think the county should prevent development along waterways such as Verde River, Lynx Creek, etc.? And so it's kind of that's where we reached out to the communities and see like what type of development they're talking about. They want to preserve them and create them as recreational areas, but they also want to preserve them from development. So what type of development and recreation do they find acceptable in those areas? In District 4, 100% again were concerned about water. 75% think the county should preserve waterways in their area and promote them for recreational development. And 67% of those that had wells know their water level had gone down, but 100% had not gone dry. District 5, there was one, and it was concerned about water, and they again think they should preserve waterways and promote recreational development. Dark skies. All the districts were unanimous about this. 88% were concerned about preserving future dark skies. So most everybody in every district wanted to preserve dark skies. And then 88% feel that the business signage is currently too bright and they prefer less street lights. You'll see that in District 2 again. They're all concerned about, everybody wants to preserve dark skies in those guidelines. 64% of the business signage is appropriate lit, while 93% prefer darker neighborhoods. You'll see in District 3, going forward, some jurisdictions wanted to increase those guidelines of dark skies. So 81 to 82% felt that future preserving dark skies was important, and to further increase those. In District 4, they were concerned about dark skies. 95% were concerned about light pollution in their area, and 100% feel that business signage is appropriately lit. And 100% feel they also prefer their dark neighborhoods with no lighting. In District 5, have no responses. Environmental, we had a big response. These are countywide responses. At 187, 84% felt policy should be in place to low water landscaping of native plants. 96% felt that policy should be in place to minimize and mitigate impacts to environmental sensitive areas. and 93% felt that policies should maintain open space on steep slopes, floodplains, watersheds, and habitat should be created. So an overwhelming number of respondents were in favor of low water and minimizing impacts to environmentally sensitive areas, whether it's steep slopes or just habitat areas. For energy, 73% of the county said, the respondents said the county should create policies promoting commercial generation, transmission, and storage of renewable resources. Large-scale solar was deemed most favorable, followed by battery storage. Wind turbines were mixed between favorable and least favorable. I guess it just depended on how they've used them or how close to their homes or environmental impacts on them. Because you have heard about some wind turbines having effects on the birds and all riparian areas. Residential was most favorable as a residential. Supposed to say solar was most favorable as a residential alternative energy source, with wind being the least favorable. So people are not in favor of wind turbines at their neighbor's house. And 73% felt that developers should install electrical vehicle charging stations on commercial development. So a lot of them felt that that should be a requirement. For transportation, these are the ones we just picked up this past week. 37% felt the most important issue for the county roads was maintenance of the existing roadways. Then it was followed by expansion of the existing roadways. 22% felt it was additional transit and bicycle options, and only 9% felt safety was an issue. So here's you can see the pie chart here, the roadway maintenance, and you can see how it's broken out. 52% felt that Yavapai County needs additional routes to the existing network, while 19% were unsure and 29% said no. So you can just see that they want options, and you'll see further on the next slide. So 52% feel that Yavapai County needs additional routes to the existing network, and you'll see in the next slide, the majority of these responses were from, did I say in here? No. The majority of these responses were from like the Oak Creek, Sedona areas, and you'll see on the next slide why those comments of 53% are so high. 46% felt the traffic conditions were satisfactory, and 53% felt they were not. So 26% of respondents say they work from home, and 48% said they don't work. 13% were more than 20 miles from home, 5% work less than 5, and 4% were between 10 and 20. And 22% said they had experienced barriers to getting around the county, with most frequent being tourist traffic. So tourist traffic seemed to be the biggest issue, which would make sense for the Oak Creek and Sedona areas with one way in, one way out. If there's an accident, all those kind of things. I've experienced it myself. You can't get in or out. So that was the biggest issue, why you had that 53% traffic circulation issues. And then there was a couple issues in flooding issues of trying to get out of the community. There's only 2 responses to that, actually, though. With growth areas, so this is really interesting, especially providing today. We had 41 submissions. 91% of the county respondents felt their community was rural, and 56% felt that there was no need for additional housing. 32% that there was a need for additional housing, and 12% were unsure. However, 45% of the respondents felt that there was not enough young adults coming to and staying in their area. 30% felt there was, and 25% were unsure. 15% felt that their area was declining. 28% felt their area was staying the same, and 57% felt that it was growing. And 83% said they would like their area to remain the same as today, and 10% said they would not like to see any more growth, and 7% again were unsure. So you'll see here is a lot of comments of we don't want growth is basically what you see here. However, on the next slide, and then again on the first one, it says 76% felt they don't want their area included on a growth map. 12% were unsure, and 12% said they would not like it, they would like it included. It's of those that said yes, they were located in Sedona, Oak Creek, Converse, and Sedona. And these are the same areas that also said they didn't want it included. So it's, it's different respondents. So it'd be nice to get, if we can push more of those survey results to see a little bit more of the people who don't typically respond. We need the quiet people to respond instead of people who are out there just angry all the time. 20 of those people who also said they didn't want any growth, 27% they would like to see new commercial and activity centers, and 25% were unsure, and 48% said no new commercial. So it's it's about half and half. I guess the unsure is more of it depends on what it is, kind of thing. 54% agree that the county should promote orderly growth. This was surprising. In or near existing communities with appropriate levels of infrastructure, and 46% said no. So obviously they just feel like that they just don't want growth. It's more of a opposition to growth. I would hope that the residents want the county to do things in a sustainable, way of growth. But it's kind of high for 46% said we should have no orderly growth. Which, is what it is.
Okay, it is what it is. Well, thank you very much.
So that's kind of the overall.
So Jessica, this is all available on our website now?
Would you be willing to share your presentation?
Yeah, so the other stuff is available online. I don't think we've uploaded on Excel the transportation and growth, because you just gave those to me.
I put them up.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
they were up yesterday.
Okay.
So those are in survey form. This is just something I created, but I could send it to you guys if you want. And then also, I don't know if you guys want it online for now.
If you go ahead and send it to Andreas, you can push it out to the community.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of work went into that, and I think that the public would probably benefit from seeing it. If nothing else, at least understanding where the differences are.
Yeah, I would love, we're working on it. They're working on getting it down to district, because we have it by zip code, but not district.
Okay.
And so hopefully, we can get some more information and update it even further, which district, like very specific. But like I said, when they put in there, maybe a lot of it was Oak Creek, Sedona, Congress, and it was equally both sides of for and against.
Okay, thank
I'm
you.
concerned that breaking it down to districts, first of all, some of the districts have very low response rates. It seems to be, it would be more informative to have it broken down into communities, knowing what this community thinks, what this community thinks, as opposed to a district, which is sort of all over and might contain a wide variety of everywhere from municipal to rural.
Well, we have it by zip code. I don't know if
Some way to localize it, I think, would be
Yeah.
useful.
Because you think of James Gregory's district, which is so sort of massive. I mean, and, part of it being in the Verde Valley. So what is the Verde Valley saying from that district versus across the entire county?
It's really a question of diversity. I mean, if
Yeah.
you've got a county that's extremely diverse, you can't draw much conclusion.
Jeremy, you had something you wanted to throw in there?
Well, yeah, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify just what's available on the website too, all of these survey results are available and they are able to be broken down by zip code or by supervisor district. So we can break it down a couple of different ways. Breaking it down by community, when we were originally putting this together, was a little bit too onerous for the GIS because they just don't map that information that way. They can get it done geographically by
Even zip codes.
zip code.
I think
And it can be broken down by zip code, yes.
So do you think they could provide a zip code map so we understand when we see by zip code what the area is?
We can certainly try.
If that's something GIS could pull off, that'd be wonderful. If they can't, I get it.
Those guys do
I mean, right now,
amazing things.
They do. They're
the data is so preliminary. I mean, in some cases, we've got nobody responding.
Right.
In some
Right,
cases,
right,
2 or
right,
3.
right.
So we can't draw, when we're quoting percentages of 2 people,
Yeah,
or
I
if
know.
1 person responded, it's all 100%.
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's useful to see the early results, but we'll.
It is. It's better than nothing, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And,
Chairman?
yes,
I had a question. I mean,
Yes, Tom.
I appreciate the community part of it, but what I'm afraid of, you got to figure out which communities are active in this type of things and which are not.
Right.
You go to Paulden, you go to Chino Valley, you go some places, those guys are busy working in the farms and
Right.
fixing their cars and doing stuff. They're not sitting out there in the desk with computer so there's going to be skewed in this, survey or any other thing you do. So we have to reach out to them in person by having open house meetings or invite them.
Right.
So we have to reach out to everybody.
Understood.
So if you do on community basis, I mean, it's a good idea, but I think the community part, what we need to do, I feel like, because it's gonna be so hard to get your arm around 28 different, we have 28 different communities. That's why
right.
I have 28 different maps that I can show you, but if you go through each one of them, we're talking, it's gonna take you a couple of years to go through and
Sure.
fix everybody that
Well,
way.
and I think as time goes on, we're probably gonna have more participation with the surveys. So we're gonna see where where we only had one response in the community. We're gonna start seeing more, and we'll at least be able to see trends.
Right,
I think-
and so that's the nature, the gist of surveys, you know, you
Right,
have, you
right.
don't have it, you know, sampling
Right.
errors and so on and so
Right,
forth.
right, right.
But the survey is the best method of going, I mean, everybody hinges, you know, takes the surveys and go, we have to run with this. That's what we have. But we can always make extra effort to go to the community level, but at this time, the GIS can only do up to zip code or district. One of the advantage why we have district wise, because then each supervisor who are in charge of each district, they have some, you know, responsibility
Right,
towards the
right,
constituents. And it's easier for us then to work according to the district map.
Sure. Yeah, and once again, as time goes on, this survey information is only one element of what
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
collecting.
Yeah.
The supervisors are all having town hall meetings, they're all speaking face-to-face with their constituents. And so we're gonna be getting a lot of information from different sources kind of piling in.
Mary has a question.
Yes, Mary?
Yeah, and I
Kevin?
was gonna make a suggestion.
Oh, sorry. Kevin, when you get done with that question, I have a question also.
Okay, good. So just hang on one moment. Let's give Mary an opportunity.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. I'm a part of a group that's actually sort of headed through Yavapai College. It's a countywide group. There are 78 of us on it. Now, it includes a lot of the chambers and things like that, but I make sure that we get the stuff in the Verde Valley out in even the chamber newsletters and things like that. I'm wondering if I couldn't arrange for a presentation from maybe Jeremy to this group, because again, this is a really engaged and active group, and there's 78 of us across the entire county that are part of economic development, and it might be a way in a different level and a different venue to encourage people to do the surveys and to fill them out and to do some of that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'd be happy to arrange that if we think that that would be helpful.
Okay, good. And I'd be more than glad to participate as much as I can as well, not just leave it to staff.
Okay,
Yeah, that's an
that's-
awesome idea.
that's a
Mr.
great idea.
Chairman.
Thank
The
you.
more of that we get from the CPAC committee, your neighborhood, wherever you have, we'd rather come and talk to you, take opportunity for that, you know, and
Right.
find a good convenient time. I mean, those are the best way to reach out to people.
Okay, good. Yeah, once again, I'm game to support as much as I possibly can,
Okay.
all your
And
efforts.
especially letting people know, because I know even in other stuff we have, it's really hard to get people to respond because they feel like it's gonna be like a 30-page thing. And just letting them know it's a click here or here, yes or no, this or that, you know, and so it's not a completely tell us your opinion, you know, like after you get a product survey and you're like, you know, it's something that can be quick, you can answer as much or as little as you like, but just we need response.
Wonderful. And then we have a comment or a question from the Prescott side.
Yeah, Kevin and Commission, my question is maybe to Kazi, whoever's been, you know, involved in these comprehensive plan for years. Is this normal to have such low participation, number one? And did anybody ever consider, I happen to think it's very complicated for a lot of people. You know, obviously it's an interest of mine, I didn't mind going through it, but it's very long and tedious and complicated. Would there be any way of simplifying it in some of these groups? You know, just a suggestion, why is the participation so low, in your opinion?
You know, Mr. Chairman,
Please.
it's very hard to say why, because I cannot fathom if we are reaching out to everybody equally. There are a lot of people, you know, who have access to computer, and you know, and remember also recently we went through the COVID and all that. By the time we started this, it's only last 2-3 months we have been actually free, had a little bit more time to do the things we want to, going out and stuff like that. But I don't know, it just could be people are just too busy to even care for, you know, comprehensive plan, or maybe to them it's, you know, at this point they're not, maybe they just like to talk to you in person and don't like to do anything survey type thing, and there are people like that.
Well-
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Actually, I heard two different at the same time, but why don't we go with you first, Jeremy, then?
Well, just to offer a couple of other thoughts on that too. We initially did our general survey at the very beginning of the comprehensive plan, and we got over 900 responses for that too. And that was overwhelming, really, in terms of what we expected to receive. The other part of that too is some of these, in Jessica's presentation, we saw very little response from District 5, which is Supervisor Mallory's district, which geographically is the smallest because it contains most of the urban area, the kind of the incorporated Prescott Valley and some Prescott area there. So they're not going to be as concerned because they're already incorporated. They're not going to have as much of a participation there. And quite honestly, that's probably the one district that we have not done any kind of community outreach with as well. So
Okay.
there's a valid reason for that for them not to be as participating as much as we would like them to.
Okay. Prescott, do you have a comment?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
in Prescott, we have very few special interest groups organized. And if you notice your returns from District 1, you've got some really large organized groups that are very active in Save the Water and Save the Dells and all of those things. But we don't have anything like that in Prescott Valley. And I think if you want to reach out to Prescott Valley, you should talk to the town and put the survey in with the water bill. Everybody reads the insert in their water bill, and then you can generate some interest in the survey.
And maybe
So
with a self-addressed stamp.
Right, Jeremy,
Envelope.
is that something we can do?
So we absolutely can, and we're looking at doing some water bill flyers and things like that as well. The other part of that is there in a lot of the rural areas there isn't a water service out there. They're all on wells, so they're not going to get that information the same way that more of the incorporated and
I got you next, guy.
the incorporated areas or the community areas. So it's going to have, there's going to be some limited outreach ability there too, but that's one of the ways that we're trying to. And just to kind of speak to Connie's other point, well, I'll hold off on that for just a moment.
Okay, Mary, you have something. I caught her just as she took a bite.
Right.
I just waited.
Obviously, I used to be a server. Okay, anyways.
Well, a couple of things. I'm going to tell you from the Verde Valley, it is the municipal people that are asking the questions, because the reality is what the county does impacts the municipalities. And where is their integration and collaboration and some of those efforts? So I think, and I encourage everyone to take the surveys. I don't care where you live. And if we're going to do it in the water bills, let's make it in English and Spanish. A significant part of our population is not native English speakers. And I know that's what we've done in the Verde Valley in a lot of the work that we did, particularly with COVID, when we were using utility bills and everything was both English and Spanish that we did. And I think we should be making that kind of effort as well in the process, if we can.
I see Jeremy shaking his head yes, so I think that's going to happen. Good, good. Okay, let's see. Who was, John, you had something.
Jeremy mentioned how large a response we had to the first survey. That survey was community-based. David Williams asked people to submit what they'd like to see on that survey. Originally, he said that was just going to be a survey to guide the development of vision statement. But as it turned out, they covered a lot of, when they collected all of the questions, it covered a lot of territory. And I think, of course, it was the first survey too, which, maybe people are getting burned out on taking surveys, but I think that contributed to people's response to that survey.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see an analysis of those, of that survey results too.
So those surveys are more open-ended,
Yep.
so they were fill in the blank. So it's a lot harder to analyze and compare. I mean, you can get a general, but sometimes, they were going about, some of the comments were, go about what they wanted specifically, commercial or some certain things. And they were a lot open-ended. And I tried to summarize as much as I could open-ended on these. But 900 surveys of open-ended questions is a little hard.
And they were very biased questions in many cases.
Right.
It was not a, I won't say anymore.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Jeremy, finish
Sure,
your thought.
okay.
No, please go
Yeah,
ahead.
just to speak to what Connie's statement was earlier, and actually Dr. Black mentioned it as well, but keeping the survey questions simple, keeping them, short, to the point, as simple as possible, and quick and convenient, that I think is probably going to be the most effective in getting people's responses. And I know that Prescott Valley just completed their general plan, and their surveys were very simple and very quick and to the point. And I think if we were able to craft our survey questions, a little bit more that way, that's going to encourage people to want to get on there and take the quick survey rather than the involved survey, with some of the more detailed questions.
Sure.
Just follow up on that. The test of a good survey is, when I read the question, do I instantly know what my answer is? I can pick it out. Or do I have to stop and think about it? If you have to stop and think about every question in the survey, it becomes a very long survey, and people will quit in the middle, So that's a very good point he's making.
Mary?
Another question, and I don't know if we can do this in the surveys, I've gotten some suggestions of making, if you're putting comments in, to be able to put a few more words in. I mean, we had a whole lot in some of the surveys about developers, right? And obviously, we're engaged with businesses that are in development and things like that. And it's sort of coming off as an all or nothing. The developer should pay for everything or not. And I think a lot of the developers I'm working with see a balance. If you add developers having to put in all of the infrastructure themselves and everything else, it becomes cost prohibitive. So if there can be a space where at least people who have a specialized interest in some of it can add a few more words so that they can have more clarification. That was comments I was getting back. And it may not be feasible, but I thought I would put it out there because I think the developer's response on on some of these and how they perceive it is really important, or specialized groups as we're looking at some of this.
Yes.
When Mary's done, I'd like to make a comment on that too.
Please, comment now.
Well, since the inception of our meetings, I think one of the messages that's come through loud and clear from everybody in terms of the vision statement is simplify, simplify, simplify. This is the 30,000-foot look at what, the comprehensive plan will be. And I think that we should take that literally when we offer these questions out. I think through Jessica's presentation, even though we had limited amount of participation, the message was loud and clear to me. People want very little growth. There's some desired commercial growth, and I'm sure it was essential services, hospitals, fire stations, whatever. The message is just that we've got to limit the growth needs to pay for itself, and we need some essential services. But if you go out and you look at the statistics in Yavapai County, it pretty much follows along with what we are. Not counting maybe Prescott and Prescott Valley, it's definitely a growth pattern, and it's becoming little cities. But the rest of the county, which is large, the message is loud and clear. So going off what the people want, which is why we're here, I think we need to take that in consideration as we go forward, even with these questions. Maybe carve these things down to some of the most pertinent subjects, which of course was the growth, the water, the open space, and just kind of simplify it on that. The details will be brought up as the developers apply for, permits, and those things will be hashed out in planning and zoning. But for what we're doing here, I think, again, the message is loud and clear for all of us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mary, you have another comment?
Yeah, sorry. Well, and I think the message is conflicting. And it truly depends where you come from. I mean, obviously I live in the Verde Valley, and there are a whole lot of people who would rather never have another house built. However, the Verde Valley is a dying community. We just did a housing study. We're losing the people from age 15 to 50, right? Which is our workforce. So there's this conundrum going on, right? I hate to say it, people move here and then they don't want another person to build a house. And so there's certainly that perspective, but is that a healthy perspective? I mean, I think we need to look at that as well and how we're asking our questions related to it. And maybe part of it's also education. We're working on that. But even in your answers, there were conflicting answers in the perspectives in what some people had. And somehow I think we need to be addressing that as we're looking at the plan. And I'm not sure the answer to it, but I think it's an important question we need to be asking ourselves.
And I just want to give you an example of, I've worked in 2 different communities that were like that, and the survey results and all the neighbors, like, okay, one is Fountain Hills. They come back and they say, we don't care, we don't want commercial, we don't want this type of growth, we're the seniors, we're paying for it. But in Fountain Hills, they have an extremely high property value. So those property values pay for a lot of stuff, so they don't have an issue. And then I've also worked in the town of Clifton, and they don't have high property values. But you did still get some of the respondents saying, we don't want any growth, and we don't want this. But the town in that decision said, I understand, but we can't survive if we don't maintain a certain level of service and new blood coming in and staying in the community, like you're saying, for the workforce. So in that community, the town said, no, we're gonna kind of, like, it'd be your decision as the group committee, but they said, okay, we understand you're uncomfortable with things, and we'll try to make design choices that are accommodating for, like, the rural lifestyle and stuff, but we're gonna encourage growth. We're gonna push for these things, even though this population, because I mean, they literally were shutting down schools and they were having big time issues. And so it's a tale of 2 different communities. Like, you can have the one that's very wealthy and fine, but then you have the one that you desperately need to retain and grow it. And so while the neighbors may say they don't want it, you don't want them to be the last residents of that community ever, either. So, and that's what was happening. It was really sad. It was really, they're like, and then another one died. I'm like, okay, so now you have 50 people.
Well, of course, that small group, they're hoping that the group gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
That's their plan, you're gonna say. It's working.
Yeah, they like
Okay.
nutrition.
Anyhow, you had a comment?
Mr. Chairman, member of the committees, I wanted to just clarify one thing. When we started our comprehensive plan, sometime in July, June of 2020, we were taking the image of the existing comprehensive plan. And there, last time and every other time, the community's input was very crucial in any plan, right? You have to have community's input. However, this comprehensive plan and any other plan like comprehensive plan, master plan, if you will, is a unified document. It takes input from all the communities to make one idea, not 20 ideas.
Right.
So we have 28 different communities here. So I want to be clear, the way when David started that, I think we set up on a wrong foot. We are going with the community vision statement. It did not mean that we're gonna get 28 different communities giving their 28 different vision, because then we would not have a unified document. So I want to be very clear, we're gonna steer away from it. Because then what I want to do is to get community ideas, how to go back after this comprehensive plan is done, then go back and do each community's plan standalone.
Sure. Right.
That will be connected to the comprehensive plan.
Much more
and that's a
efficient,
much
right.
more clear and efficient way to do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just too much to do it. That's the direction we are heading now.
Okay, thank you. Going around, anybody else?
I guess I would reiterate that
That's
we're
great.
really working at
Yes.
2 levels, as far as determining the values across the county, making county level decisions, but you've also got a 2nd level communities, and I think the community vision statements would really serve a purpose along with the comprehensive plan.
And the thing is that because we are trying to catch up, a lot of things have not been done last 10, 15, 20 years because of economy, because of whatever. Right now, we have all right mind. We know what the county needs. We're in a very pivotal time in Yavapai County, from water issues to transportation to housing. All these things are major issues in our county. And you are the right mind that can think about it and talk about it. And so this is what we need to put in our comprehensive plan to get us started. We are not going to put everything there. It's just not possible because we just don't have time and resources.
But once again, we'll put as much of the responses as we can online on our website.
Right.
And continue to gather as much input as we possibly can. Yes, John?
The other issue that I would want to bring up is that community vision statements are not necessarily synchronized with the county's comprehensive plan. Over the last 10 years, we've seen communities' plans come out different times during the 10-year.
Right.
So I would want to allow communities, even after we finish the comprehensive plan, say 2 years later, a community comes out with, say, that would be included in the process.
Right.
It wouldn't have to happen all at once.
So one of the problems that was there, I don't know if any one of you are aware, right before we started our comprehensive plan, did you guys know that there was a moratorium?
Yes.
Yes,
This comprehensive
Yes.
plan was.
yes.
And you wonder why. I mean, a comprehensive plan, a plan that guides everybody and gives, the decision makers, the staff, the guidance. Why a moratorium? Well, the reason was because there were some plans out there that if it was alive, the document was alive, we had to implement that, and the county didn't have enough funds or the political will to carry through. So that's why whatever you put in your basket, you have to work on it. That's why we're gonna have implementation plan. And you have to look at the cost to the society, to your, individual taxpayer and so on and so forth. So it is pretty, intensive, if you will.
And anybody who has an in-basket on their desk can appreciate what Kazi just said. Sure. Yes, John?
I think one of the issues they talked about was that if I come up with a community plan and it wants to do things that aren't legal, that it's asking the county to do things that they don't have the authority to do, whatever, that would have to be modified in order for the county to adopt that plan. Well, that is complicated if that all has to be done up front at the beginning. If we allow these plans to come in over the coming years from the communities and sit down with them and go through each one individually and make modifications, that would allow the county to adopt these plans.
Sounds like that's the direction it's headed in. Do I have any other comments on the surveys?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
Sandra Laney.
Go ahead, Sandy.
Over here.
Hi.
I agree with Kazi. I think he's going in the right direction, but why not, as a compromise maybe, do your plan, your surveys rural versus a community? I mean, like PV doesn't really think like people in Paulden.
Right.
So have your rural and have your urban. And do it that way.
But the surveys ask for community or zip code, so it's already defined in the survey.
I know
As the-
that, but I've gotten online and looked at it myself and I'm thinking, this doesn't really apply to me. I'm not interested in that much in what the people in Paulden want because they don't want what I want. And I think
So-
I speak for a lot of people in my area. We're sort of unique.
Yeah, I think you are an excellent point. I think I heard it somewhere that the adage just says if the mountain doesn't come to Moses, you go, you go out there. So we have to go there in places like that. We've been
Yep.
to Paco, Paulden area. There was a meeting on the onset like in July, August. So we have to reach out to Paulden places, Chino, Congress, Yarno, Baghdad. We plan to go in person because those are the people that wants to talk, sit down with you in the evening after they get off work and hash things out, and they want to talk about things. So those are the places that I think we'll have to go in person and actually really get it out from them because they're just too busy or they're just, they're not at this point interested, I think.
Well,
Okay, any other, I'm sorry, Sandra, you said, go ahead.
and urban areas, we don't really have that much county land in our geographic area, and we don't think that much about county. We're more PV oriented. What's happening in PV, but the county, we don't really pay that much attention to. Ask somebody in PV on, go down to Fry's and stand out in front of Fry's and ask somebody, gee, do you know what county land there is in adjacent to PV? And they'll look at you and say, what? So there's a lot of educating to be done as
They
far
might
as.
look at you and be surprised that somebody's actually paying you to stand out in front of Fry's asking that question.
Wasn't there a
I've
map
done
that was done, like the county land in certain jurisdictions, or I thought there, or like you can zoom in on GIS or something, I thought, or
Yeah.
state land or different things.
Yeah.
Because that's always, like, even other jurisdictions, it's always surprising because you'll have, like, for instance, I know, bad word, Maricopa County, but they, a lot of people, when they go to Pinal or Maricopa County or even Yavapai County, sometimes they go and want to live in the county to get away from city jurisdictions
Sure.
and things like that.
Right.
And then a lot of people don't realize in incorporated jurisdictions that there are county islands, until some looser county regulations building or billboard or something that they don't like gets built next to them, and then they get all upset on realizing that that little piece that's been vacant is really county. And that's the thing that a lot of these people need to realize is that there's little pieces, there's state land pieces, there's strips that were never annexed, and you really should educate them, and people need, I mean, there needs to be class at the elementary school level, basically all the way up, about city, how it runs, because even now, I mean, there's people that come to hearings and complaining and yelling, and they don't understand the process or what's actually happened in the past, and first and foremost, it's like, what's the property next to you? What is this in your neighborhood? You know, and nobody thinks about it.
Yeah, I've been yelled at by those people before.
Yeah.
On more than one occasion. Okay, keeping in mind that we're going to be talking survey again next month at our meeting, we're going to have an update and perhaps some additional items that we're going to be discussing. Do we have anything else right now concerning the surveys, the survey presentation that Jessica gave us today, or any other input you'd like to provide? John, you have something?
No,
Okay. You sort of look like you might. Okay, so good. Well, let's move along then. The next thing on the agenda is the growth area plan. And we're going to let Kazi explain that one to us.
All right, okay.
Get out
Thank you
your
again,
coloring
Mr.
books.
Chairman and member of the committee. This is a kind of a tough exercise, but I think we have talked about it several times. We've been talking about it for almost 2 months now.
Right.
What is happening is that, as you know, we already have a vision. The vision is a very broad statement, says you guys know what you want this county to be, right? That's the statement we have. Based on that, and based on the place that you represent or you come from or where you live, what we are asking you to take a shot at this map and come up with an idea and say, okay, this is the area I think we need to control or manage growth, or this is where it's most prominent. Like, for example, you don't want to go out like a Yavapai Ranch was 25, 30 miles out there, no water, no electricity, no roads and stuff. That kind of stuff you want to think in that language. So you want to think about what is the best way where we can provide new growth. You're guiding new growth somewhere.
Including additional services, infrastructure,
Yeah, right,
so forth
and then
so on.
which is less costlier to have.
Right.
And then also infill areas, areas that people are moving out and things like that. What can we do? So let's concentrate on those areas, just draw a little circle map, and then we'll consider those areas, because then we can start pouring our resources and fund in that direction.
Okay, very good, great. Well, please continue to guide us as we.
Okay,
as we
and
walk
then
through this.
Jessica and John is gonna be helping us with
Okay,
that. So what we're gonna do is that, what happened is that, as we have 28 different communities roughly. And I didn't think that we all want to spend on each community like that. So what we had the GIS do is put 4 or 5 communities in each map and try to, shorten it and make it in a bigger copy. But any communities you see over here, we can pull out and give you a bigger picture, like a, micro and macro type of,
And they have a copy of all this material in there, okay,
Right, do they have the copies over there?
There you're looking at it.
okay.
Yeah, they have. the
Wonderful,
copies.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
So that's the exercise. So what I would like to do is that if you want to come over here, this is a bigger table, and we can start with one map. And, once you come here, Mr. Chacon, and please
Let's
help us with
Do
one,
we-
because you know where the housing issue is, and maybe we can start off with that, because the area that.
Sure.
So Kazi, would it be better for us maybe to put it up on a board or something so they can see what we're doing and we can see what they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. I mean, do you want to bring that board here? Somebody told me it fall down or something. Let me see.
Oh, yeah, well, we don't want to do that.
Okay, let's see. Maybe we should keep that and then clip it here.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can flip
I think
it.
so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find some.
It'll be
clips.
clipped?
Yeah,
It'll be clipped?
I think, like one of those.
You need the clips.
Here you
Yeah.
go, Kazi. Here's one.
Okay, let me see if I've got
A
some
donation
first.
by
Thank you.
Jeremy. All right.
That's my contribution.
We've got one. Oh, here's another one.
Oh, there's
Here's
nothing.
another one.
You know what I'll do?
Okay. Yeah, bring it, maybe put in the
Maybe
center,
over
in the
here?
center over there.
Yeah.
Which one are you
We'll
looking
be
at
in front of
first?
the camera.
Yeah, I don't know, you tell me which one to do.
No, I think which one is that? It's the northwest.
Are we
Oh,
taking-
this is Bolden, okay, this is the north.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta turn it that way.
Now, which side, should we go for the southeastern Cambodia? Should we try this area? That's your area. right?
That's it, right. So Camp Verde, Sedona, Cottonwood.
Okay, and then I'll pull up this map. Can you pull up the chart?
Well, not quite.
You're tall, so I'll let you do this.
Well,
I ran into somebody who was 5'7" today. I'm going, man, that's a tower. I told him, you need to talk to AT&T.
there you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
there we go, okay.
Okay, that should be pretty
Basically,
visible.
if you come over here, what we are trying to
thank you.
figure out is that, you know, I mean, and I have bigger map that show the bigger, you know, a little bit relatively.
Right.
So when you look at it, you know, just kind of which area you want us to concentrate.
I think it would, I mean, we talked about the fact that we'd like to
Yeah, come on.
encourage growth in areas that already have infrastructure.
Yeah.
Whether it be water,
Mhm.
wastewater processing.
Right.
Electrical.
Right.
And yet I don't see anything on this map that tells me that. So what basis do I have for choosing what areas?
Well, I tell you what, if you can roughly drop me something, the next map I'll have include those infrastructure information.
Oh, good.
But I just need to concentrate which area you want me to.
And I guess my question is too, which are the county areas? I mean, as you look at this map, you know, we've got Camp Verde. Not a whole lot of it is county, right?
Right, Camp Verde, they're incorporated.
I'm assuming that all this darker
This-
gray is county.
No, this gray is all forest land or whatever, owned by the state or federal
You
government.
can include jurisdictions in the growth area map, you can include
Yeah.
jurisdictions. It just mean, when it comes to implementation, then they don't have to do anything.
Right.
But you need a cohesive, like, solid circle, bubble, however you want to do it.
Right, and I guess my question comes in, and I will admit, I live over in Beaver Creek. We don't have super number of services here. But I'll tell you, the whole perspective is they're not gonna build a damn thing, right? And it's all county area, but there is capacity to build some apartments and some of those kinds of things. And do we need some roads out there? We do. So do we exclude them because there are some services needed? I mean, I don't know, that would
No,
be
you
my.
would include it, and then when it comes to the growth area, in this chapter, if, for instance, we'd say northeastern region, Beaver Creek area, then you further define, this growth area shall be encouraging roadways, public services, high-density residential in a specific like you could say along this route or something.
Okay.
But it doesn't give it an open book of.
Right,
build.
because I will say, one of these
This guy
sources,
here.
and I live over here, so I know
Yeah.
the community pretty well, is, and I get in trouble all the time, but they say, well, there's no way we can build because we don't have the roads. And I said, well, then we need to build the damn roads,
Right.
right? I mean, if you can't take the traffic, so that excuse needs to go away, in my opinion, in this planning process. And if I'm approaching it the wrong way, tell me.
No, we're not accepting any excuses.
Brandon with GIS can explain the map a little bit. Brandon, go ahead, can you talk to us?
Yeah, good morning. So any areas that are grayed out are areas that we can't plan because it is national forest or it's state trust land or private communities. So anything that is open on the map or just plain white is going to be an area that you can
We have
potentially
none.
plan. Yes. There's not a lot of area
So
in
there-
the valley to expand to.
No,
So as I understand it, there's actually not a lot of potential growth area that we can identify on this particular map. Is that correct?
Correct.
The percentage is pretty simple.
yeah,
Yeah, a
yes.
pretty small percentage. If you could provide some guidance, how can we tell what is county and what's municipal, what is?
Anything
On the
that is
map.
shaded is not any areas for you to look at. So gray
Okay,
shades.
So in other words, the only areas that we can look at, for instance, on this map, if you can see where I'm pointing, will be the unshaded areas here, Chino Valley, outside of Chino Valley,
Yes, that is
So are
correct.
the land areas private land?
The white ones are private lands, yes.
Private land, okay,
Okay.
and the gray areas are public land.
Public land, yeah, state land, I mean forest, but Mary,
So what
to go
about the
back to
hash
your
marks?
question.
And then right here, it gives you right here, breaks it down.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a legend over
Sort
there.
of.
But say, let's say this is the area you just draw. What
Yeah,
we'll do
right.
that we'll back it up.
Well,
with-
it's his
with,
county boundary.
Description,
Start.
Okay.
written, think what we want to do there.
Okay.
But you're just kind of giving us an outline, growth area, just roughly.
Okay.
And then we'll go down, nail it down by saying this is the thing.
Kazi, can you speak up? We're having a hard time hearing.
Yeah.
Over here.
Be talking to Connie and.
Say what you were saying.
Just speak a little
Okay, so-
louder.
What I was saying is that what you need to do is draw a small area that you feel needs
Oops.
focus on it and find out what does it need? Does it need a road? Does it need a telephone line?
Tripping hazard.
Does it need internet? What does it need? Water, sewer, stuff like that. So find areas where you want us to concentrate, that you think would be a place for growth. I mean, then what we can do is that when we have new business, I think,
Not high
Connie, you
density,
mentioned
but like
that
right
couple
here.
of times
Okay.
in your question.
Beaver Creek, I think
What-
is a
when you do the
resource
map,
area.
what if Circle K wants to come up here? Do we encourage them? Do we give them
Probably.
some information up front? So I think this growth
Hopefully this
area
is-
map will do
That's
that.
Camp Verde.
We'll kind
I
of
think
show
the
them.
map is the only county land right here. Is that it? It's the only county.
Okay, so this
Except
is.
Kazi, we're still
Yeah.
having trouble hearing you over there. If everybody in
This is-
Cottonwood could just be quiet for a sec and then have Kazi explain, then we'd be able to hear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so guys,
Yes.
excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they were just asking if we could hold down the noise for just a moment and let Kazi re-explain what he was just saying so that they can hear it. I guess everybody's
That's a great
kinda-
idea. Kazi, you have the floor and the rest
Okay,
of us
well,
are
I'm
gonna.
not too loud. All right, sorry about that. What I want to,
Can't see the map. So
Okay.
we need to have them see the map and then have you explain.
all right.
There's one microphone, so when people are talking, they can't.
We can move the map closer.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So as you see this map, as Brandon pointed out to you, the gray areas are the area that's public land and the white areas are the county or private lands. And then in between, you also have cities and towns. But for our purpose of this exercise, it doesn't matter where your border, how much big area you circle. The point is you need to circle an area where we can focus. Later on, we'll come back when it comes to the description, the content, the body of the chapter, we'll write down what it needs. That, hey, it needs sewer, it needs water, it needs transportation, it needs transit, broadband, what have you. We'll look at those more closely at that point. We just want to start by showing us areas that you want us to focus. Let's say you have some infill areas, area that needs some support because the infrastructure is already there. So we want to concentrate on those areas too. John, you have something you want to add? And I've got John over here, you can say a couple.
Yeah, good, excuse me, good morning. John Froke. I'm a planning consultant. I'll use the M word, Maricopa County. I've known Jessica for a long time and Kazi, but I've got my county hat on today as a consultant. So I think the mapping, it might be a little bit hard to read for those of you in Prescott. As was pointed out by Brandon, all of this is available on our GIS parcel viewer for any of the committee members. The one thing I would point out, and I think Brandon already mentioned it, with the number of national forests that we have in Yavapai County, there also is a lot of state trust land. So last year I was doing a lot of work down in Phoenix for the state land department. I'm a planner. I'll let Jessica. But I was doing a lot of work for the state land department, and so you'll see on your mapping there in Prescott, and for those of us here in Cottonwood, the cross-hatched land. There's a lot of sections, 648 per square miles, that are owned by the state of Arizona in trust. Those lands are available periodically. The state will put those up for public auction for different entities that might want to either buy it for development or for preservation. So keep that in mind as well. And I think up on maybe not on the map that we have, that we're starting at this morning, but up in the Prescott Valley, kind of getting up into Chino and Paulden, there's a lot of state trust land there as well. The white areas, as I think Brandon and Kazi were pointing out, are areas where we would probably be most interested from the committee and from the public with respect to, land uses and growth, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman?
My question to you was,
Yes.
you mentioned you think there should be a road.
Okay, so
where would you?
Okay, the road that gets all the criticism is the one that is called Beaver Creek Road that goes through the heart of Beaver Creek. So if we're looking at Beaver Creek as a growth area, it could be in two different ways. There's a lot of commercial being built over here and trying to be built over here, and we all know the dynamics of the county of people trying to do some of that work. But there's capacity for some housing in this area, particularly when it comes to absolutely no apartments. I mean, there's opportunity, and I don't want to take over the community by adding, it's got 4,700 people in it, by adding another 10,000, it won't support that. But that needs to be talked about, literally. I mean, I guess is my best.
So then when you're looking at growth versus land use, you basically would just do this little,
Yeah.
And I would not go into this.
Okay.
Because you've already got properties fronting that road which restrict a belt.
You want to use a marker?
Oh, I wasn't want to make it permanent, which is why it's yellow.
I like that.
Everything in yellow is pencil.
She's gonna let us make that mistake.
You can make mistakes, but something like that is, you see, like, if, I'm not saying this area is gonna, that piece is gonna go that piece, I'm just saying, we define this area, and then.
As a potential,
As a
okay.
potential, and then it gets a name, a Beaver Creek growth area or something in the northeastern section, and then in the element chapter, you have a definition that this area is encouraged for Beaver Creek Road for expansion, intensity to be increased along the commercial route or around that route, so that you don't trigger all these other people to think that their property is going to be taken or changed or neighborhood seen. But then you can also add, it'll be rural in nature, low densities, and infrastructure improvements are encouraged in this area. And the point of that growth area in that element is just it connects with the development, not impact, development,
Not impact.
Cost of
cost of development
Cost,
chapter.
yeah.
And so those two go hand in hand, because the cost of development chapter combines with the growth area, says these infrastructure, grants, facilities, funds may become available in these areas, so that the county can go out and get federal funding to expand those facilities.
And I love your definition, because you're not just saying we're gonna build all this in here. One of the priorities is infrastructure as a part of that, and making it a priority to get appropriate infrastructure, which the current community needs, even if we didn't do a whole lot more building. Okay, so is everybody
All right.
sort of good with that?
Yes.
We have a map.
Seriously?
Make the first mark.
Pens
We
it
also
can
have a
always
map
be
up there.
changed,
And,
it's just the giraffe,
I'd
we're
like
going
to
back
make
and
I'd
forth.
like to make a
Ms.
suggestion.
Laney, can you all see the map on your screen?
Yeah, I lost it.
Pardon me?
I need to work on my command voice a little bit here. I suggest that we work on the large maps instead of doing our doodling on the smaller maps, because that might make it confusing, but I noticed that scale-wise, it's
It
actually.
does help a little, when we get down to actually putting it on the GIS, that helps,
Yeah.
but if you
So-
wanna just do something like
Well-
this,
Circle this.
this
Anyhow,
this
the
side,
the
right?
one thing I was gonna
Well,
point
this
out
is Beaver
is,
Creek, so
Where is it?
I'm not sure.
one of these days I'm
So,
gonna.
Jessica?
That looks exactly like
Jessica,
Yeah,
The one thing I'd like to point out is, as you're circling the areas that you consider to be potentially high-growth areas, any notes that you want to include on there, please do.
Yes, that's very important.
I think, if you want to say, there's a Beaver Creek Transportation Corridor, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you want to call
That's
it.
an excellent point.
Make that notation for the folks who are going to digest all this information that we're preparing. So that said,
Yeah.
anybody else who wants to add anything, feel free, jump in.
And,
So do we
you
want
know,
to move on to the other parts of the Verde Valley, as long as we're on the Verde Valley, or?
Okay, do you, Sandra and Connie, you have the Verde Valley map out there you're looking at?
Yes, we were just looking it over.
Okay.
We have a
why don't we-
small one that we printed.
Okay.
We
well,
do
why don't
have
you-
it, so go ahead and proceed, that's fine with us.
Please. Thank you.
I'm sharing it on the screen for the people.
Okay.
Shut up and go away.
They've got it up there.
They can see
Kevin?
us.
Okay.
They can see.
Kevin? I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah, see what you've done there.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You know, I think it would help to, while we're thinking about these growth areas, to break it into the residential and the enterprise areas, because those are two separate mindsets as we look at these maps. So, I mean,
Okay.
and maybe that's a little more specific than what they want right now, but to me, it was pretty easy using the GIS maps to pick out the areas in Chino Valley and Paladin and Williamson Valley area that should probably encourage some commercial development or enterprise development. And then the rest of it is primarily residential. So it just made it simpler for me. So it's just a suggestion as we go forward.
Right. Once again, that makes sense. What we can do is, as we identify the high growth areas, once again, as I mentioned before, feel free to make any notations you want on those growth areas as far as whether this is potential residential growth area, potential industrial, whatever you want to call it, however you want to label it, so that when the staff that digests all of our notes and our boundaries that we draw, they'll understand where we're going with it. Does that make sense to everybody?
I feel like I don't have enough information. I don't know where the industrial areas, where the commercial areas, where the residential areas are from these maps.
That's why there's 10 of us.
Yeah.
I think, and plus staff. So we can at least, once again, whether we know for sure it's going to be industrial or residential, if we know that it's a potential high growth area, that's a good start.
Right, exactly. I mean, we're just trying to focus on areas that you think, like you brought out a very good question. Then we can expand on that and bring you a bigger map, and then we can dive into the thing. Right now, I just need some areas.
I guess what I'm saying is, she's familiar with this area. She can speak.
And I'm familiar with
Which
this
area
one.
are you familiar with?
I'm saying.
What about you? Which area are you familiar? Let's start over there.
Between Sedona and Cottonwood.
Okay, well, let's start over there.
And there's virtually nothing there.
Let's see, tell you what, why don't we do the actual growth area?
Yeah.
Where would the actual growth?
So
area?
here's the growth area for Beaver Creek,
Okay, so just within.
in the
little
circle.
perimeter. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and another one here, I mean, we need to look at the map for Sedona. This is Camp Verde. Camp Verde is definitely a growth area.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'd say probably pretty much the entire.
The entire, wherever Beaver, well, this may be Cottonwood.
Yeah, that's good.
That's Cottonwood, and that's definitely a growth
Camp
area.
Verde down here.
Right, so we just do this.
But see, I would see them, okay, go ahead.
Well, maybe you can take that, like so. This is all undeveloped. Well, and here's in
That's the
state,
Indian reservation, I think.
well, this is state right here.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and that's potential growth.
Okay.
In there.
I think that's the Indian reservation.
There we go. I think, yeah.
I know there's
And
a
this
lot
is
of people
Sedona.
that are opposed to developing all along.
Oh, they can be opposed to it, so it's still potentially a high growth area.
Is this 260?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be developed. It's, yeah.
There's concern that it's gonna be like Preston Valley, it's just gonna be.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen.
Holes of development on both sides of the highway.
Right, and truthfully, I will admit, that's probably what the vision is, I mean, of the landowners along there.
Is it Sedona
But not,
Valley?
I shouldn't say it,
Somebody
not
wants to see the bigger
completely,
picture.
because Out of Africa owns a whole lot of that land in there. So the kind of development is not gonna be as, I don't think, as intense as what some may have proposed. Okay, so which one you got there?
Well, this is Sedona map right here.
Okay. And Sedona doesn't have any growth areas. There's no land to grow in.
That's true. They
There
pretty
is
much
no
fill
growth
it up,
area.
yeah. But west of Sedona, you've got Red Rock Loop here. And this is all residential.
And then also, you have areas like, for example, the riparian corridors and places like that. We can circle it and say that that's off limits, or put some language in the book, say that, okay,
So-
we preserve it for preservation.
So Sedona itself isn't, but what about the village of Oak
Yeah.
Creek?
We can transfer it there.
Potential growth. Kind of hard to say where the boundaries of those Oak Creek are, because it
Oak Creek
isn't incorporated.
I know it's not incorporated, but that's a growth area. There's no
Yeah.
question about that. I would circle it.
I would too, but it's not,
Hmm.
I mean, you worked in,
Oak Creek.
oh,
Yeah, I know, it's very
It's
frustrating.
a lot of, I mean, those are a lot
now
of
first
comments
at the
of.
village of Oak Creek, not Oak Creek.
So what is able, I mean, when we're thinking growth areas, we're not just thinking, okay, there's an open piece of land, it could be developed. That's not really a growth area, it's just undeveloped land to be built on. So do they have an area that would need massive improvements and that you want to direct stuff?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah, right. Yeah, I was gonna say, not in the village of Oak Creek. Yeah, not in the village, but, and Camp Verde is putting in infrastructure
There's stuff
right
going
now.
on there, but the highway restriction, the ADOT restricted it, it won't be ever expanded.
So what I can do,
Right.
what I can do
It's
too
got
is
utilities
put
there,
up just
so,
kind of
I
a
mean-
map of
So the
the
village would
last
not be one.
I don't think
commercial
so.
permitting
So, but where
activity in the county
I think
for
where
the
we have
last
to put on here, and then
2
we can
years or
talk
so.
about it, is, like you
If that
said,
would work, I
between
can put that
Cottonwood
on
and
the screen
Sedona.
to just kind of give
Mhm.
everybody
I
an
mean-
idea of
Yeah,
where.
that helps.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and explain,
Mostly
wherever the
Public
camera is, why don't you go ahead and explain to them?
Except just north of
Is it-
Cottonwood and
If I could,
Camp
if I could have,
Verde,
if I could
the
have
Spring Creek area.
temporary,
Control?
temporary silence, Prescott area. Jeremy's is going to put another map up for us to view. And this map will have precisely,
So I can kind of put up a little basic map of permitting history for commercial development in the county for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And it'll put up the little flags on each area in the county. You can kind of take a look at where those permits have been issued over the last 3 years. That'll kind of give you an idea of where the commercial activity is happening historically here. And then after we kind of look at that, I can put up like residential permit history as well, so.
Well, and like, I guess let me ask a question defining it. I'd like to see where the permits have been requested.
Yeah.
Because in the Verde Valley, there's not a lot of commercial development going on in the county because of the people that come and cry at the meeting and the Board of Supervisors votes it down. I hate to say it,
Sure.
but that's a huge process. So I think looking at where people are asking for permitting
Mhm.
might be more telling than just what has gone
Yeah.
through. Does that make sense, Jeremy?
Yeah, but by and large, most of the permitting activity or most of the development activity is approved by the county.
Okay.
You know, we do have those, we have the Spring Creek ranches and the red, the Rojo Grandes and
Yeah.
things that got voted down. But at the same time, that was because the Board of Supervisors determined that it wasn't appropriate growth. It
Agreed.
wasn't an appropriate use of that land. So the permitting activity that's been approved by and large is
Okay.
determined to be appropriate. So take a look at this. Let me see if I can get, maybe Andrea can help me to project this onto the
Thank
screen.
you.
You guys can take a look
What
at
would
it.
you like?
and I would say
I have a map that I would like to put.
we're gonna dedicate for about the
I'm
next
in.
30 minutes to this.
I'm in.
So,
And we're only just started.
and we're just getting started, so I'd say start scribbling, folks. Jeremy, you're gonna put that up? Are you gonna put that up now?
GIS up there?
Yeah, Andrea's helping me.
Okay, that would be
Well,
great.
you're supposedly already on.
Completed the Verde Valley.
So is it this one, WebEx?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be too much, whatever, a
Okay.
little bit, because we are
John,
covering
what
the
else
whole
do you
county.
think? I
Oh,
think we-
perfect.
You're already there.
See, I'm used to like Zoom and Teams and stuff,
For the
so.
benefit of.
It's receiving
of
content.
the Prescott,
Okay, cool.
And I think if we've included Clarkdale in here, and I'm not sure
Okay.
where
There you go.
Clarkdale's showing on it, it should be a part
So
of
let's
that
see
growth area.
here.
I'm not, Camp Verde, is there, where's Sedona on
The
here?
first one takes the longest, then once you get the training.
Here's 179,
Okay.
so this must be Sedona up here.
So, Mr.
And
Chairman.
this is 89?
yes, sure.
So this is kind of, this is all commercial activity that's happened in the county for the last 3 years. So you can kind of see, it's hit and miss all over the
Right.
county here. Crown King had something.
They can see this in Prescott,
But you can-
Prescott conference room.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But you can kind of see the clusters here around the Cordes Lakes area, clusters around Lake Montezuma, the Cottonwood, Cornville area, Village of Oak Creek. This is all commercial activity, so it's not necessarily hotels and casinos, but it is, different types of businesses on different scales. So you can kind of see from the clustering where that activity is taking
This is a
place.
lot more useful than
Yes.
that map.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Well,
Really helpful.
You have to draw it on
I
that
saved the
map,
best for last.
Well, I mean, the current request for permits tells you one thing, the history would also, I mean, what's been the growth over the last 5 years? Let's say?
So this is the history, yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
talking about where is the infrastructure, and where the growth has already happened, you've got, presumably you put in some infrastructure there, and you'd want to keep things compact and make use of
So,
that infrastructure.
so this may help you as far as determining where commercial growth, should happen or could happen in the future too.
Can you, Jeremy, go focus, let's say we are dealing right now in this area, can you expand it so we can see how many of those dots are there?
Maybe.
Just,
But if we've already pretty much defined
right, that-
areas of,
right.
pretty much of what you have there. I think the one that there aren't a lot of permits on, but I think will grow is further up in Clarkdale.
Sure.
Because there's a whole lot happening there, particularly with the
Right there
140,
on that-
Sure.
that-
142 acres of, now we're looking at roads and the railroad and all that up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that, but that we sort of included all of them in one, and maybe we shouldn't have, but we sort of included Camp Verde, Cottonwood, I think, Clarkdale, I'm not sure about the map.
Well, I think you can kind of
It's-
zoom in on the map and just whatever, a crayon of a different color for each area that you think is going to be more,
So you'd like
more or less.
one for sort of each community, so a separate circle around Camp Verde versus
You
a
could,
separate.
well, if you, so if you have this thing here, amoeba thing.
Yes.
So if you feel like this area is gonna be more residential, or if you feel like this is gonna be more corridor, transit corridor, you would just take two different colors, and that's one thing, and then that's another
Well,
one.
this is all of Cottonwood. So this is what,
I
I
can take a
believe
pen
that
and
Camp
put
Verde,
this
Cottonwood.
mark area.
We could do theory definitions for each area.
Might
It's-
irritate our IT guys.
But so if there's gonna be a difference, you need to separate, further define the other section. But
So you said.
please be
just
careful
commercial.
not to start talking
This
about like
is just
specific
commercial.
area plans.
So when we
So
kinda
let's
get done
not get into
with
that.
the
If I'm reading you
commercial
right,
side, you know, what
this
we
is
want to
gonna
do
be
here
huge
today,
commercial
I
growth
can put
right
up
in
like the
here.
residential.
This is
which
Highway
be
260.
a lot more telling
Okay,
too.
between
as far as
Cottonwood
where-
and
Where the
Camp
growth is taking
Okay.
place residential.
Yeah.
Commercial.
And I've actually got a heat map that I put together for our
I think
county
we just
budget
about used up this map.
of residential growth in the county, and you can
I'm
really,
not
really
sure what
tell
Clarkdale is on here.
Quad City areas,
Yeah.
Lake Montezuma areas booming, Village of Oak Creek is booming, you know.
I think you've already got the data you need.
Yeah. Well, the data- yeah,
To
the data's
identify
there.
high growth areas.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard
So
to- it's
can
hard for
the
me to tell
people
where
in
Clarkdale
Preston
is
see this?
on
Yep.
this area.
As- Okay.
So, this is Clarkdale,
If
so
you had a
where
heat
does
map
it, how
of
does
this,
it?
that would also.
Yeah, I just
Here's
didn't have
this
time to
little
put it, I've been
piece
buried in the
here.
budget, so I just haven't had a.
Okay,
So
so this is Clarkdale here.
But I mean, even without a heat map.
So I'm not
it's pretty
exactly
clear
sure
what
Yeah.
where
Oh, yeah.
in the Clarkdale area, but there's
Are you
142
talking about Halden
acres.
growth? Well,
Right.
maybe not so much
I
in the
think-
last
That we're
few
planning
years.
commercial.
Yeah, it's kind
We
of
got back
interesting, I'm
that
not seeing
and-
anything down here by Camp Verde.
And it has no services right now. Now,
I would
it's,
expect more.
I don't think any of it's county land, I'm not
So
sure.
you're saying.
Is that a rail,
so
is
that
that the
is
rail
just-
That's
project?
the rail project,
Okay.
and we're looking
But
at
we'll look into that.
getting funding for the two
Corridors,
roads
lakes
and
areas,
things like that.
other
And
areas.
it's a municipality that's doing it.
So you're looking at this area of Parkdale?
Excuse me, God.
Yeah.
That's what you circled.
I think so, and I'm not exactly sure. I'm directionally challenged. I apologize.
You'd be surprised how many planners are too. I'm like, really, north, south?
So have we finished
We're out of here.
Verde Valley pretty much?
I think so.
John, what I
So
put
this
on
is
here,
commercial, this is more
this is
industrial.
the 260 corridor
Yeah,
here, right? Up here is the Clarkdale, and they're looking at developing the 147, 142 acres of property outside of Clarkdale. And I'm non-directionally challenged, but
When you say developing, you mean residential or commercial?
commercial.
So what is this area? I mean, I see these are, it looks like some pretty big roads that are starting to go up into here. Are these going into, state, parks area? Or are these gonna stay rural, do you think, or what's happening right here?
I think it's all rural now.
It isn't, what
There's commercial here, but most of this is rural.
is rural?
Okay.
Part of this is
Do they have any
Yavapai land, I think,
questions?
too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
once
not sure
again,
how it's designated.
yeah,
They've got a lot of
Kristen, do you have any
reservation land
questions?
Yeah.
as a part of
You
Clarkdale.
look like you're
or part of
hard at work
Clarkdale.
there.
Is that shown in white or?
Can you hear me?
It's
I'm not
public
sure.
access. Okay. Okay, but it'll stay probably rural, so that we don't want really to do, but just because it's not growth
Alexander,
area,
can you hear me?
it doesn't mean it won't grow. But
Right,
we
but
don't wanna highlight it right now.
In knowing Clarkdale as a whole, no, I don't see it. This is the key area that they're looking at
Okay.
developing.
So
for-
look at the blue, mostly these two blue areas.
Would be the right. And then, if we're gonna talk Beaver Creek, this probably could be more commercial, even though the residents don't like it.
Yeah, once again, let's add to possible commercial.
Okay, so removing, then probably since this is more specific, then removing this other part of it, right? And just letting it
Well,
grow
there-
naturally?
No, because there's the whole apartment complexes and things like that, but Camp Verde, huge, as far as, they've got, 6 or 7 developers that have bought land to
So I
build
got a
housing
question.
and things like that in the
When
Camp
you
Verde
get these
area.
maps,
They're also doing some
checked out,
major projects in
Are
here.
you then gonna go into the
A
community
major
and say,
project.
here's what we got, what do you think?
Yeah.
You know, if I
Yeah,
call it.
everybody needs to know.
It's in Clarkdale.
Any questions?
I'm sure they'll have opinions too.
Oh, yeah. Well, like, And Jessica's
Get over here.
presentation.
Closer to the mic.
Go into some of these
Let's see.
communities, they don't want to see the
First
growth,
of
but it's
all,
still happening.
Sandra?
You know, and they don't
Connie,
want
do you have
it.
any questions? Are you doing
The
okay?
idea of the growth area is good because it doesn't say do we want growth or not. If we're gonna have growth, where should
Vinny,
it
can
be?
you hear me?
And I think when you get into the communities, they'll probably say over there is fine, but not over
See,
there.
it's kind of, it almost needs to be like
Jim
done, where you have like an aerial up on the screen and
Ultimately,
moving
that-
around, like, you know, Google
That's what
Maps
you
and
want,
fishing
is
around.
Yeah, I can hear you amongst all the stuff.
Okay, very good. Once again, checking in with everybody else, Sandra and Connie, can you hear me? No, they can't.
No, she's
I'm
not.
sorry.
can.
Yes, we can.
You
That's okay.
can't hear us.
Okay, good. Well, I can now. So, okay. Well, I'm just doing a temperature check with everybody, make sure everything's going okay. Do you guys understand what you're doing so far, somewhat?
Well, we were discussing some of the obvious needs, neat areas for the area that we're at. Like for me, for District
Right.
1,
Sure.
and Sandra, we talked about the area between, let's say, Prescott Valley, Chino Valley, Paquito Valley, Coyote Springs, and that area.
So
Okay.
In terms of,
Yeah, good, perfect. Well, sounds good. Don't let us interrupt.
Well,
Vinny?
I have a question.
we have
for-
questions.
We have questions.
Go ahead,
If,
Sandra.
if there is a county island within a town or a city,
Hey.
can the town or the city annex it, whether the county wants them to or not?
They
Yeah.
can try.
They can try. I'm not sure they can pull it off, but they
No, I
can give
mean,
it a
you
good
have to go
shot.
through the process.
You know,
And a lot of time county will acquiesce and they say, yeah, because it's a problem for them to go and maintain a small piece of island in middle of other cities and towns. They rather, one jurisdiction take care. And county really, historically, traditionally, they don't actually care unless it's a gold mine.
Ultimately, it's the landowner's decision, if they want to be annexed or not.
right. Yeah, and I know
Well,
from
you
experience.
must, Kazi, you must know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the Fane sand and gravel operation that they want to do down on Lynx Creek, which is right between Stone Ridge Drive and Fane Park.
Right.
And
I
that
know
is
the
a
general-
county, that's a county island. So what can, if we are looking at development of the county and we've got county islands within towns and cities, would it not generate more income for the county if somehow we could work it to where they would be zoned commercial versus residential? Or even apartments which would generate income?
Yeah.
The county needs to generate more income, I think.
I think you're right in the sense that the exercise you're doing over here and the comprehensive plan, you are in charge of providing those guidelines. And that's the thing. Then we can always edit it and do everything. So you're in the right path, I think. That's what we need to look at, things that been sitting there in limbo. You're bringing it
Right.
back, putting on discussion, and let's talk about it and see where it goes.
Yeah, can even the county be proactive? Like Jeremy was saying, there are some of these small pieces of land in the middle of everything that have no value almost to the county. Can we be proactive in possibly approaching a municipality or whatever in buying the land, in annexing it, something like that, or identifying those pieces to sort of clean up some of the county mess which exists, or is that
You could
fantasy
ask.
land?
Yeah, you can try. I remember Maricopa County trying to kind of clean up some of their islands and stuff a long time ago too, and it just kind of depends. It's
Okay.
there's some legality involved to it. Just,
Okay.
Some landowners prefer it tax-wise,
Yeah.
restrictions, like with the lake, the salmon thing or whatever, the jurisdiction may not have a way of defining that and doesn't want it. Other times, they don't want to maintain the roadway.
Yeah.
They just don't,
Gotcha.
they just leave it
Okay.
out, so it just depends.
Yeah, it all depends on cost and, the viability, what that can happen.
I mean, The app, like you said, the owner can always request it, as long as they have 51%, they sign off on it, it can be annexed in. But as far as the jurisdiction doing it themselves and approving it, they would have to have some financial gains that they would do that, otherwise they just let it sit, because it's left.
There's no point.
And it's usually most of the time happens through the private sector.
Yeah.
That somebody loves that land, they come to the city, say, hey, will you annex me if I buy this property, and this is the plan I have, this is what I want to do, I want to create a Disneyland or something like that, you know? Just like throwing out there. So that's when the city say, okay, it makes sense, in 5 years, they'll ask for like, hey, can you extend your water and sewer, city pays it, and then in 10 years, they recover all the costs.
Sure.
And then they have a park.
Here's like some pre-annexation development.
Yeah,
agreements.
pre-annexation development agreement, things like that. But, we can start talking about it. That's something that we can do, something like, once you circle that, we can put it into the text that the county should explore or encourage county islands for better use or whatever. I don't know.
And then the other part with you're talking about the use, that just comes up with zoning, which is gonna be the update after.
The comprehensive plan, yeah.
Well, and the other thing, I just asked Jeremy, because, ours is like huge circles. We're gonna keep working on this and refining it, so there'll be a more refined map for
Right.
us to refine as we're looking at in greater
Once we
detail.
circle it.
Big circles are good.
Yeah, and Vinny, we don't want to leave you out. You have any questions for us?
No,
Are
Kazi,
you speaking to-
thank you very much. I appreciate the checking in.
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
somebody.
Okay.
So we're next.
Okay, so
This big map is done, right?
I'd say we worked.
Have we circled anything?
No, but
Let's circle this.
Oh, we haven't done Chino Valley.
Actually, this here is probably, what's the difference between that and this?
I don't think anything.
Well, it kind of is.
Look, you've got the southwestern region here, you've got the central region.
Yep.
Does it matter if we,
Yep, just keep it going.
if we
I agree.
circle it on?
There's a lot of open land, they can try to.
I agree.
Well, I think we're, okay, so let's do that. So do we,
Then you guys electronically work on it. It's an interactive map, so you're gonna be able to do that. Something like that.
So-
Okay,
so from
good.
here
Yeah,
all the way
I
down
like
to
that,
the-
yeah.
Ballroom.
Yeah, something kind of like, I want you to.
Yeah, I like that. That works.
We're on the right path, something like that.
And we can say we can also provide you that.
Oh, even, yeah.
So all the way down,
Residential,
so,
commercial.
I mean, truthfully, all the way here, would you agree?
Where the concentration
And
is.
maybe what I'll do too is, if it's not already, I'll put these these are all citizen service reports. I'll put these maps on citizen service so that they can look them up
And
too.
if you put a connection in the comp plan,
Yeah.
so
State
people
trust
can
land,
link it.
there's.
Yeah.
That way they
Maybe we can do that. Yeah.
The crosshatch that, theoretically, the state in the future could sell.
So this is
Just
now,
your-
just put up.
In growth areas, you want to
just
keep
put
it
up
close to
residential.
transportation.
So I mean, you can see it's.
Yeah, see, and now, I haven't really been to Chino Valley. I know that there's huge growth going on there. I don't know exactly where the commercial development areas are and what Maggie's doing. Do you know?
But that
A little
map
bit.
up behind you here shows you that.
Yeah.
That shows you
No,
where all,
really up here.
he's putting up maps.
Okay.
of
What is
all the
it?
permits that have been issued.
Kind of just covered up.
These are all
a
residential.
big massive red.
Zooming in and
all
out.
Chino?
Okay, so where does that
Just that
fit
one
into
corner.
No, that's
what
all
we have on the map?
That'd be right in this area.
Right here somewhere.
Yeah.
Can we zoom
It's
in?
along that way, red.
So sort of circle
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
And that's a lot of commercial?
So this is
So
residential.
this is all
I don't know if I'd
residential
say a
here.
lot,
It's
but there
mixed.
is commercial, there's hotels.
Okay, so how about if I put mixed?
there you go.
Well, there's no question now where the questions
Residential,
are.
Yep.
commercial.
Mhm.
Okay.
Kevin?
What's on the, Jeremy, do you know what's on the other side of
Chairman,
89?
if you guys
Is it on
think
the
you
east
can
side?
stick
'Cause
around
it's
for a little bit longer, I'll go and order some food, bring it up here. Is that okay with you all?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
no,
we'd like
like
to get
mine
it done.
Okay, yeah, I think so. So, yeah, because I'm gonna
Is
be
there
sending you
something
guys
prohibiting that then?
homework, if you will.
Now that we know
I'm
what
gonna
we're
fix
doing.
this up. I'll tell everybody when you're ready.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you.
Because you and the ladies. Okay, so yeah.
Not really, this came out of our city
So it
consider,
looks
so
like
it's
this
just
is the
it's a pretty
stretch.
basic map.
There's a whole side, you see that has not been, there's no red dots on
Has
the
any of
east
this
side?
been rezoned or is it all still?
Oh, is that this side?
It should all, it's probably all RC today, so it's just basic.
But going up here, you can see that there's,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it goes all the way to Paulville.
It looks like it does. It curves to the right.
So we should on the map a little bit. Jessica, this is what we
Yeah,
did.
Paulden's got quite a
Yeah,
bit
it's
of
gonna need
activity.
to be a little more tighter.
Okay,
So,
sorry.
Just took it over the top.
Go down at the main.
Okay.
This is real clear up
Those
here.
two are.
This is,
Yeah.
what he's done is he's put up all the permits that are issued, what, last?
Which is wonderful.
Since November 1st of 2019.
Okay,
So-
so this shows all of the residential
There's a bunch
permits, you
up
see where the
here.
clusters are. He also had one for commercials. You can
not
see
so much
those.
over here.
Okay.
Okay, so you have a different map with the commercial
I just
district?
had the commercial up here for quite a while.
I switched over to residential because I asked him.
Sorry.
You had to change.
No, I'll put it back on.
Mea culpa. Okay,
All the time, that's.
But I was saying to him, this is what we really need to know.
right, so we need to draw, we need to do the circle based on that.
Oh, if he wants to do it, we can I'll talk about it.
Can Tim and take back up, do it, and I can pay it back? Tim and Becca can buy a couple pieces of land.
No, it's all down here, is where.
Yeah,
If you look at the.
Oh, if you look, it goes all the way up north of Paulden.
You know, we can do the lunch thing and.
Yeah.
Sure,
somebody
okay.
wanna Grab it, if
it.
the chairman's
Okay.
okay with it, I mean,
But then-
yeah, depends on the
I
chairman.
made myself
She wanted to stay married. She wanted to
So
get it
should
done
we do it
as
like
much.
here?
It is up to the chairman.
this is-
Okay.
Bill
What he wants to do.
Oh.
Chairman, okay.
They've got that. We're just giving you an idea where to look. This is all residential, isn't it? Up there, just north of Paulden North, that's all residential, correct?
Yeah, that looks like it, yeah.
So now we need to superimpose this on that.
Okay.
We can have, for next month, we'll have our GIS folks do a heat map.
To do a commercial one and a residential one.
Well, and you know what, and I think it's kind of cool. This is really helpful, but I think our minds also have a pretty good awareness because we're circling, in a sense, or trying to the same areas that are showing up and what your permitting is looking like.
It's a little more specific, we're just
Right.
kind of circling private.
Yeah,
land there.
I did too big a circle.
It's a start, you know?
You're very.
It's a start.
Exactly right.
Good, good.
Okay, so Kevin, this is
Yes.
Mary Chacoin just said she did too big of a circle. I think we may have two, but we're looking at this map right now with all the red dots on it that you've got up on the monitor.
Yeah,
If we circle the general area, I think it's just presumed that it's in between the state land, correct?
Well, yeah, we're just gonna draw dots and we're gonna let the staff connect them for us.
Okay.
I think we're just gonna identify big general, what we believe are future growth areas. And
Yeah.
if we can identify just commercial or residential, wonderful. If we can't, once again, I'm gonna toss that on the back of the staff. Figure that one out.
Well, and Mr. Chairman, this is an iterative process, so I mean, this isn't the last day we're gonna be doing this.
Yeah,
Right.
I know,
Well, we're pretty much following the path of exactly what we're seeing because those are the facts right there where all those little red dots are on your map. It's following that. Okay, thank you. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
easier for us, didn't
Well,
it?
and to me, what's exciting about this, because it takes some of the arbitrariness of the committee saying this is the growth area.
right.
This shows what the communities are proving is the growth area.
So I don't know if everybody caught that or not, but Mary pointed out that this takes a little bit of the arbitrariness out of what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have some objective information that we're applying.
More fact-based than opinion-based.
And, yeah, more fact-based than opinion-based, thank you, John. And, but in the meantime, all we're doing, this is a rough draft of our ideas today. So just do the best you can, and then we'll see what staff is able to do with it.
But for me personally, it was like, okay, how do I define the growth areas? What do I know about it, right? Mary, member of the committee, coming in and saying this is the growth areas. Shouldn't be. But this gives us some definition of where they already are, and we are reaffirming what exists.
County proceeds further down from.
Okay,
from the
so let's,
shore.
we can do it on our map, right?
Yeah, let's see here.
Mr. Chairman, can I make one other, I mean,
Please.
you make a decision, you tell me
Okay.
about food. Are you okay to stay back and so I can order the food because
Oh, yeah, are we okay with that?
11:44, everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, sounds like a good idea to me.
And they've been taken care of, Connie and, Sandra.
Sandra
We are
Connie.
having somebody come and get your food. They'll come and pick up your order here in a minute.
Oh,
So that-
okay,
that we just carry-
Yeah, right.
thank you.
So, and now the next question is, what would you guys like? Pizza, sandwich, Subway, or pizza? What do you
I
prefer?
am so easy.
I was gonna say, I don't care, why don't you just order something, if it's pizza, order a couple of different kinds.
Yeah, pizza's lovely.
Okay, let's just grab some guineas.
Vinny's? Okay.
Oh, yeah, makes it easy.
Do you know what it is?
So what he was saying is for next time, he can take this and superimpose.
So, here, I'll give you.
Right.
Yeah, we'll create some heat maps next time that we can kind of work off of, because what we're gonna do is take the crayon drawings today, we're gonna refine those a little bit and put those into some newer maps that we can draw on next time too. And we'll have some heat maps that use this data. Probably not.
Okay. So,
Yeah, meat and pepperoni.
keep drawing.
Okay, so where are we now? So this was,
And
this
then
is
we'll
Cheetah Valley again.
So this is kind of the south side of the county here.
I'm trying to figure out if there's anything down here that's a growth area.
Go down and do
This
it.
is Black Canyon City, so no, this is all,
That's all.
yeah. This is all state land, it's great.
So I'm giving my cards, so she's gonna pick
So
up
what,
Okay.
pepperoni and,
so we already
pepperoni and
done.
meat and
Yeah,
then
we did.
veggie, and then some soda.
Okay, whatever.
Perfect.
State,
Let me know what I owe you.
national, yeah.
Well, I'll let you know. what-
Public, thank you, John. So we really haven't talked about this section yet. Is it up there?
Yeah, we did.
We did? Okay. That was Lower Chino Valley?
Well,
Okay.
Okay.
Can I go home?
we're just.
No preferences.
You know where Vinny's is, right?
I think we pretty much covered.
Chairman?
Okay.
Kevin?
Yes, yes, Jim.
Kevin?
This is all this, so we're done with
Yes,
this.
Jim.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
I was just going to suggest that since I probably know the Congress, Yarnell, Peoples Valley, Wilholtz, Coal Valley, and those areas better than the rest of the staff, that I can work on those separately and send you, send some information
Oh,
to.
that would be awesome,
Yes, that's
boy.
good, yes.
Yes,
It's good,
please,
yes.
that'll be excellent.
Good idea, Jim.
I've already done that for Chino Valley and the Williamson Valley area, so I will continue on with those other areas for you. It just makes sense
Okay.
to have someone who knows the areas well to give some insight as to where the development areas should be.
Very good point, good point. That's good.
Excellent point.
Thanks, Jim.
And that's exactly what this exercise is about. And then we can broaden the drawings and, nail it down a little bit, deep dive.
This is,
So
This
see,
is the
I had it charged 100% at 8 o'clock.
Well, here's what
Right
he's
now,
doing.
it's, for iPhone to do that, it just blows me away.
Yeah.
And I didn't bring my charger.
That's crazy.
You know.
I got a charger downstairs.
I'll charge it. But anyway, Susan is taking care of me, she said.
Yeah, she's gonna get you an email.
So when I get
well,
home.
it's checkerboard effect. It goes back to the.
And then she's got your laptop also.
Yeah, I've got a 3 o'clock, Suzanne set it up.
Cool, okay.
So I'd like to be back
So
in
you got a
Prescott
mix
by
of
3.
pluses,
Yeah,
pluses,
let's try to
pluses,
get out
minuses.
IT is gonna come over and get me set up.
Because we still got a couple other quick things to housekeeping stuff afterwards.
Just like Rosetta
Are these
does.
are these little squares?
Yeah,
So
perfect.
what we decided, or actually,
Yes.
we're thinking
Those are
about.
parcels.
So once they do this thing, we'll go back to Brandon.
And then these
Then
are,
expand
this
it,
is private
put
land, the
a
white
couple of
ones are private
language,
land.
So
Jessica
the
can
problem
do
is,
the language, what
if
they
a ranch
want.
goes out of business,
What,
they sell
and
there.
what we need to do is get ideas of what they're
600,000
wanting,
acres
and
to
then
some private
we'll send them back
developer,
the
and all of a
final
sudden
map to
you've got a
do
development
interactive.
way
So
out
I
of
want to,
nowhere.
I want to
Yeah.
push this thing online
and
for
not-
them to do
and
as
not
homework,
anticipated.
assign
Sure.
it
Yep.
for next.
Yep.
So we are
Sounds good.
moving forward, the next time we come up, we'll have a fine go through it.
And then Kazi, what we can do is, we can have,
Right, then so they can
we
wait
can
for our
have
next-
GIS create heat maps based on the permit history. And,
they can,
Okay, so
we
here's
can
Baghdad
put those
down
up
here.
on the board for them.
Right, you can probably
Jim's
shoot
not
an
dealing
email
with
to
those,
Brandon
right?
right
So
off
we
the
need-
bat right now and
What do we know about Baghdad and
copy me
Kirkland?
and stuff.
Yeah, we can get it done. I just wanted to kind of let you know what.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
That's probably
What
another
other
tool
things
they
we
can
can do,
use.
heat map for residential and
No,
then.
that's
and commercial.
mostly
Yeah.
public land.
And that's very easy for him to
I
do.
own land on this.
Yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, no, they have no problem.
But does he have access to this permit or you have?
This is all citizen service, so it's,
So he knows how to.
And then on Mary's group, if you wanted me to present to her group of like 70, 80 people, I'm happy to participate.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going if it's a weekday.
Could we look at census data? I mean, I'm not saying like this minute, but it seems like that would be useful for knowing, population numbers.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Over time. That would,
Yeah.
if we had a map that showed
I-
growth based on population.
Census probably has some
Yeah,
on their website.
and they do it
I
by
haven't messed
community.
around with it in a while.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what we can pull up.
I think we can.
Yeah. Yep.
it might very well turn out, it looks a lot like that map too, so.
I have one final copy right now that shows, this, but there are more breakdown. I just got one.
When you get on the census
Yeah.
website, they do it by community.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Spread out in that
Yeah,
geographical
that's
area
what I'm saying.
there.
Would you call that a?
Yeah, I have
growth area,
that too,
potential
yeah,
growth
yeah.
area?
I think that, in
Potentially,
addition
because
to this,
we've
I
got a
think that
couple
would
of
be very nice.
applications over the last
Okay,
couple of years.
all right,
for,
we'll look at it,
For like
okay.
travel stops and stuff.
So we need to
That would
go
really
on
bring a lot
community
of-
base that,
a lot of
census,
workforce
go
into
to
that area.
So kind of, it's gonna be a mix of commercial and
Population,
residential.
census
Yeah.
population.
We
by
need to
community.
pull those
And then
maps
what
up
about-
for each community. I think it's Yavapai County, because once you go to Yavapai
Sort of the
County,
Baghdad
there's some
area.
Communities.
Baghdad is all mine,
narrow
so it's
down
exempt
community.
from permitting.
There's no
Okay.
So
boundary.
their growth area
Because
is
you
pretty
go to the
established.
track.
Okay.
and then
The
you
only
go
thing
from
that you can narrow
But we
down
can take a-
is
I mean, I
if you
can-
put a mail
Yeah,
in,
yeah.
it still isn't.
But the census actually, they define.
I'm learning about parts of Arizona that I really don't know or spent a lot of time
I'll tell
in.
you what, man, I'm a native and I've been all over Arizona and I just love it. I wouldn't live anywhere else.
So
I've come to love Arizona.
then what about Kirkland?
So I'm trying to pull that up right now. So
I mean, is there,
That's a GIS, that's a whole.
Let's see what Kirkland looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah.
So-
No,
I get what you're saying, but that would be something else that we
So
could go into and look at it.
Kirkland, so
But he's
here's
got-
People
he's
Valley,
got-
Yarnell, Congress, and then Kirkland's gonna be kind of.
Through citizens or.
This
Ten
census by number of parts. I'm thinking with census, if you could look at what populations are
Is it?
growing, what areas.
From
That would be
Skokomal Valley.
that'd be Kirkland right now.
Yeah, yep.
okay, so do you see,
Link.
I mean, we see a whole lot of growth sort of in these areas. Do
You
you,
can tell
do you
exactly
see
where
them
towns
merging?
are on the census, they tell you that, so.
I wouldn't see them merging in the next 10 years.
Okay,
you know.
You have
There-
Holden.
That's quite a bit of
Williamson Valley.
space actually between there.
Okay.
Williamson Valley thinks, I mean, they're Prescott.
So Congress,
They wanna
so
do
Congress
this.
is down
Yeah.
here.
Where does that line stop?
Yeah.
Is
So
it this house or this
You have
house?
to,
And
you
it-
have to go down this
it's hard to
whole
determine.
mountain
I think
path.
ultimately
To get to there.
Congress,
Okay.
so that's
Those
not
are tied
gonna,
back
that's not gonna get there.
Okay.
You know,
Somehow.
Peoples Valley and Yarnell, they're kind of close together, but
so there's not gonna be huge growth in any of those? Okay.
they're all gonna be little,
can you make sure
one highway.
So, what have you figured out?
Haven't, I'm looking for Yarnell,
So.
Peoples Valley.
And what about like the Dewey Humboldt area? There's a lot of talk about it being a growth.
Zoom in and out.
Well, it kind of is, I mean, you can kind of see here on 69,
Yeah.
all the way up.
You guys do anything
So there's a lot of growth right there.
They're all in
Walmart
different places,
incorporated
all three
there in
records.
town, so
Right.
we're not
So
gonna
that's why I
get
just on the
permitting
phone with my
plan,
daughter that's
but, I mean, you can see it's,
Yeah, my
all
daughter
over
is
this area.
saying last night.
And these are all residential.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I have to take my daughter and.
So we should circle back.
My other daughter loves that.
Okay. And then this is sort of like
So, they're like
the
taking her
Cottonwood,
places, like they took her to
Camp
Timberlake
Verde type
classes
issue,
and went to-
right? Well, now there, we're looking at commercial all along, but this is connecting the communities. Okay, so Dewey Humboldt to,
You need those.
Cordes Lakes, okay.
Puerto Rico or.
Okay, so we've got a couple of suggestions in looking at some of the stuff over there. In looking at circling, Dewey Humboldt to like Cordes Lakes,
So, yeah. and Jack is his last
where there's a
name.
huge bunch of permitting going on.
Let's see if we can find, I'm still looking for
The valley right here.
Daycare.
Here's Kirkland.
So once you go to public school.
So anyways,
and you break
Kirkland,
then
let's
you
see,
can stay
yes.
home.
Over here, Peoples Valley.
So
On
this
this
is
map.
last year, and he's
Right.
like,
That's not really a growth area, is it?
Well,
holding on to his
they're permitting
phone.
permits, it's, looks like it is.
He's very dramatic,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, those things are not.
So I did buy stuff for tomorrow, I'll be at Fat Cats, and then
Yeah.
Friday, I had bought something over Black Friday, those iFly things.
Yeah.
There's no age limit, so my 4-year-old is gonna go.
Is that the one on, the Loop 101?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do that Friday.
I'm not sure which of these maps Dewey Humboldt is on.
I play, yeah.
Indoor skydiving? Oh, God, yes. I
Where's
heard
Kirkland?
we're all gonna do it.
Right.
So what I wanted to do
And then after that.
is go
is
south of
BKs,
Kirkland.
Yeah.
Feed my starving children, so.
That's where the potential growth is.
Make 'em work.
Eagle Valley,
Where does this go all the way down to?
That's our.
it stops pretty much.
Oh, at Kirkland, okay.
I need a map that goes south of Kirkland.
This would be it here. So, Black Canyon's down here, so you're gonna see Kirkland over here.
Somewhere, but I don't see it labeled. I don't see it identified.
Let's just zoom down a little bit too much.
So just circle it and write Kirkland. You know, I mean,
Well,
Oops,
but
sorry.
it's not Kirkland, it just.
Is Mr. Peterson gonna do Kirkland area too?
Well, here's.
Yeah, he was gonna take a look at that too.
Yeah, okay.
Zoom in.
There's really nothing in Kirkland right now.
Will you look at that too? I mean, if you get a chance?
Sure, sure.
so then we need the Dewey Humboldt.
And then we have to look at all other and look at the road map and, you know, kind of dissect it. Yeah.
Well, Jim's working on that area anyway.
So where do we find Dewey Humboldt on here, Jeremy?
Yeah, right.
17 is here, 69, so it's gonna be in this area here. This is your,
So just circle,
yeah,
sort of like that?
that's a good spot.
We're connecting sort of Dewey Humboldt and,
It does.
Yeah.
It's Cherry Road.
So 69.
yeah, so it's 69
From Cordis to,
to Dewey Humboldt.
from Cordis to Dewey.
And it's both commercial and residential, right? Okay.
Very good.
We also want to capture those texts or the idea of what we're doing,
So
so
this
that way we
this
can.
is
Yeah, that's why we're
69.
making notes on that.
So it's sort of from Dewey
Great
Humboldt
progress, thank you so much.
down to
Sure.
Cordis.
Good.
How's everybody doing? Vinny, you doing okay? Jim?
This is
Peterson?
I-17.
I'm fine, yeah.
Doing good.
You're fine, okay. Good, just want to make sure nobody needs any help.
Yeah, we've got fans here, love to see you.
Kevin,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes, Jim.
Will I be able to see these maps or pick up a copy of the maps at the office over here?
It's being looked at.
Yeah, we can get one.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
The answer is yes.
Which is beyond this,
Okay.
right? I don't even know.
And you have to contact Andrea.
We can look into it.
Okay.
Who should I check
Jim?
with? Yes,
Both.
Andrea,
A lot, right?
Yeah, you want to check with
Mixed
Andrea.
use, yeah.
okay.
I think my memory serves, a lot of it is residential and it's sort of like
Hey, Jim?
a boutique type
Yes.
commercial. Is-
What did
if
you
my
want on
memory
your
serves
pizza?
me,
Yeah, we'll look into that.
You know,
This doesn't go further than that.
there's lots of,
Won't you,
lots of meat.
won't you be so Cordell Ring?
I'm so glad it's not
Thank
me.
you,
It's-
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, okay.
we'll give you a rent check.
It's not good for my diet.
Sort of here. We were
Oh, I
talking
forget
sort of
that,
the
yeah,
wrong-
right.
That's 69.
So.
Hello,
Kevin?
Kevin, there's a question over here.
Okay,
After,
good.
after these maps are all marked up,
Right.
could we come to the county and pick up the marked up maps?
I think we're gonna be making them.
Well, yeah, they're gonna be preparing them, and then we should all have copies of the prepared. After all the information we provide today has been digested and outlined, then I believe that the maps are gonna be available to all of us.
Yeah, we can make photocopies for those 11 by 17, easy to make photocopies, same copy. We can have somebody do it for you. Just 11 by 17. I mean, we have a copier out there, right? We can make
Okay,
them color.
my concern is you're marking maps there, we're marking maps here, and
So that,
we're
So what we'll
probably
do-
duplicating each other.
Well, that's okay though.
Yeah, but we'd like to see what the final version is, putting the two together.
And you will, and it'll be available to you in the 11 by 17 size paper.
So I've got another question too. Would it be possible to show the map that they just took down with all the applications for commercial permitting, residential, wastewater? I'd like to see one of the town of Baghdad.
So Baghdad's not going to have any permit history because it's all it's all based on the mine, so they're
Okay.
exempt from permitting. So you're not gonna
Okay.
see any area.
Okay,
But that's a good point though.
And what about Congress? Same.
Congress has got quite a bit of growth. I'll bring that up for you here in just a minute.
Okay. So we don't need to really worry about Baghdad then. There's no activity outside of the mining.
Exactly. So,
oh, that's your Dewey Humboldt.
So here's your-
It is south.
so here's your 69 corridor from Cordes. to
Jessica, that's
Dewey.
the one I was talking right there.
So it's not even on this one, really. Because these don't start, this part right here does
Yeah.
not start until here.
Okay, yeah, you're getting a little further out.
So it is gonna be it's not really Dewey Humboldt, it's south. So they find.
You said the PAD is going out there, remember, on 169 and I-17.
Yeah.
300, 330.
Which I think shows on,
And you're
that'll
thinking that's
probably
more
show.
commercial?
No.
So yeah, we'll have to take
all the
those
way
down.
down to 69.
They're doing there, yeah.
We own all of
This is
that.
nice because it shows you.
Dewey Humboldt has no commercial at all.
Exactly.
It's all owned by PV.
And along there, I think it's the same, whether it's commercial or residential along between
They
Dewey
do
Humboldt
tend
and
to go
Cordes.
together.
PV would annex
Yeah.
in
Necessarily think
Prescott
that,
Country Club. 'Cause we
But there's
Commercial.
areas of both.
a Dewey
There's
mill.
pockets of
Yeah.
commercial versus pockets of residential.
When we write up the growth areas, do we specify what areas are growth areas for residential and what areas are for
I
commercial?
mean, we could, yeah, if that's how you want to break it down.
I think
yeah.
that would be useful.
Yeah, I don't know if
Should be
everybody
broken
caught that.
down that way. Residential versus commercial.
Yeah, because why would
You're
you want
identifying
both?
potential growth areas, you can annotate whether they're residential, commercial, your best guess, or mixed.
Absolutely.
So Connie, did you want to see the commercial again? Were you asking for the commercial map?
Well, I've been through Congress several times, and I just want to look and see if it's still moving in the direction that I'm guessing it is moving, which would have been towards the south. So
Yeah.
I wanted to just take a look at the permitting situation in Congress. But do you have anything that can be blown up?
Yeah, I can zoom in on that a little bit here.
So it was going down.
What was, because this is a pretty
Is
big
this
swath.
available publicly
So like,
online
was
or
it
is
just
this just
focusing
an
on?
internal?
This
or
is
just
on
'cause it was all
Citizen Serve, so
residential?
you can access it. I'm gonna double check to make sure that it's
I was
available on
focused
the
more along here.
I use the
down
on the
system a
citizen
lot.
portal.
But
I
this
don't
is,
know.
There are
Loop Road?
some maps available on the citizen portal. I'm gonna make sure that this is.
Jeremy, is this a loop road? Is that what that is? That comes around here?
Beg pardon?
And actually, I think Kevin is the one,
That goes to 40?
Yeah.
So it kind of goes along here?
Mm-hmm.
and this is a Kevin one, that circle, he circled this one.
So Connie, do you see
Probably went
Congress
out,
there?
we haven't
I
stopped,
do,
so-
yeah. So it's heading towards, the growth is heading towards like Phoenix area.
This is,
Right.
this is along I-40.
And then you can think
There's a whole
about
bunch of-
the,
we were looking
you know,
at
the
it
future
at-
expansion of the 93, Highway
all the way
93
down
there
to permitting.
too.
Well, it
So
can't be in here.
that's gonna be a big area of growth in the
Public
future.
lands. So it's gotta be close
Yeah.
down here more, Jessica. Okay?
I would think it would like more of a heel or an L or something.
And I think you're right, it would come through here, and it certainly would cut off here, because it's not gonna be in this area, because this is public lands, the gray is public lands. But
I don't
there are
see any.
pockets of permits have
Sort
been
of
pulled.
high ground.
Yeah, it's really not forest.
So what we're thinking
High ground.
is
Yeah.
that
Couple of ash fork or juniper.
Beg pardon?
Ash
Now,
fork and
this
juniper.
is, this is where,
Uh-huh.
somewhere over here,
You wanna look at it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sally's have bought, and they're farming. and they're
Here's what I was
using
saying to her,
everything's
Jeremy. I think
dry.
what we saw is there are pockets just
Just on this
south
side.
of I-40,
Yeah.
but they're sort of starting to merge in a way.
Well,
And
the Juniper Wood area,
What
I mean, you can kind of see it, right?
as citizens,
So
This
it-
residential?
Ash Fork proper, this is
foreigners
residential.
to
When Ash Fork proper, here you kind of see the
We have to.
little pockets of activity there, but this is that
Yeah.
whole Juniper Wood area.
But those are large lot residential?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very-
So, do you have a commercial one? Is there a commercial one that goes in the same area?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we would include this because those are gonna be large lot residentials,
Okay.
which you still get, but it's not like a growth area. You wanna focus.
So the growth
here.
area would be along I-40 then?
I-40 and then I-40 and then coming up to 80.
89.
Yeah.
That's all public land though, there, though.
But it's,
It is,
so
but along-
there's another row that kinda comes out here.
Okay,
that-
Yeah.
I see.
So it might.
So
So
I'm
here's
just
our
gonna draw
commercial
on
map
this.
here, and you can kind of see, there's not a whole lot in, there's nothing
It's
in the
along
Juniper
40.
Wood area, but it's all that I-40 stuff, yeah.
So it's I-40, and then I think what you're looking is saying is something like here, so it's almost a double.
Administrative, I-40
Well,
and 89.
okay, so it's this road here, whatever this road is, yeah.
Yeah, so it's something like in that area.
Skipping a
Because you
couple.
can see all the parcel lines in here, these are all large lots. These are gonna be rural 1 acre, and
Yeah.
most will probably be half-acre lots, rezoned, but they'd have to rezone it, and
Yeah.
everybody would say no.
Yeah,
So-
well, they're all sovereigns up there anyway, so
Yeah.
they don't believe in the government.
So, no growth. But here, yes.
We have several of those in Camp Verde and Beaver Creek.
There's a handful of them up there too, yep. I got a letter from one of them not too long ago that was signed in blood, so.
Oh, yeah,
Actually, I
used to
believe it.
get.
Oh, yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, he's getting all his mail
It
now,
was his,
yeah.
it was his dog's blood or something.
Yep.
His name.
Well, and there's
Well,
a
that
whole,
was right
there's a
around the
whole
corner.
area in Cornville too. I can't remember what past one of the roads by the river that is,
Yeah.
I would call it a military camp.
Yes, Jim.
Yeah.
Yes, Jim.
I'm gonna have to excuse myself, but I will check with
That one.
staff on Friday to see if I can get copies of it.
Here we go.
Okay, Andrea is sending you an email right now, asking you to
Just
tell her
using your
exactly what
desk
you're
as
looking
a-
for.
Oh, that's fine.
Okay, so Paulding,
So-
Chino Valley.
If
Just email
that's-
me back.
That might be helpful. you
Would
guys
you
can talk
repeat
back-
that, because someone's talking on the mics behind you?
Okay, I'm sorry. Here, let me grab the mic so I've got control of it. Andrea is sending you an email right now, I think as I speak, to get more clarification on exactly what you're looking for. And she'll provide any support you need, Jim.
This is special.
Did you get that? Hello, Jim, you with me?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, did you hear what I said? Oh,
I did, thank you.
okay, cool, good. Anything else?
No, just tell her thank you and I'll
Okay,
look
so-
for it.
I shall. In fact, she heard you and she's nodding her head and smiling, so
Perfect.
you're all set. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, bye.
Mixed residential and commercial.
Highway focused.
Yeah.
There's some grocery stores in that area and then like dollar stores, services, C-stores, some restaurants.
Have you seen anything, your state trust? Is there any interest you've seen or remember going in this area?
No, it's all down in, by the airport, by Prescott's airport. It's a little bit off that map. There's an outfit out of Phoenix called, Eco. They're a developer.
Eco Development?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been trying to buy a lot of state trust land, east of the Prescott Airport.
Have they been successful?
I left the state land department in September, but yeah, they were working to get, there was, I think they were competing with Prescott Valley,
Okay.
because Prescott Valley wanted to buy the last one. and some other areas for preservation.
Oh. I mean, and what we keep hearing in the Verde Valley is that we've got lots of state land that could be sold.
Yeah.
But, you know, the state's not looking at buying it or selling it up by us because down in Maricopa and everything else, it's a whole lot more expensive and they can get a whole lot more money for the land that they've got.
The focus at the state land department, I'm not criticizing them, I was there for about almost 2 years, is they want to sell all that Loop 101 frontage in Scottsdale.
Right,
in North
which they can
Dakota.
sell for a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah. I tried to get them in, I was doing projects all over the state and trying to get them interested in some of the smaller communities, but that didn't really work.
Well, they've got a fiduciary responsibility, just like the land that they can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Let's take that. But
And I think Jessica was trying to take and transfer what we've done
Right.
onto the smaller maps.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we have to do parcel lines.
yeah, I've got probably an announcement once we get this thing done.
I don't want to.
We're gonna talk about how, moving forward, what we are doing with this. Because we have a very aggressive timetable right now, and Jeremy is gonna share with you that information. Okay, thank you.
So we're crazy.
Yeah.
But that was his way of putting it. Your safety messages.
Just trying to make it
And
look,
this one?
yeah, I'm just trying to.
I suggest they use this data and then go to the census. So they can tell where the population is increased.
Sure.
We're down to a locality, so that would be very helpful.
Are those the private?
That would make a lot of sense.
What are those?
So if you've got the permitted
That's state land.
commercial, residential, and
Yeah, I mean, just.
And population.
State line is also tossed
And
up,
then
and so
look at
that's
the
what I
areas
want to do, is that
Beaver
we're gonna
Creek.
write to all those
I'm
guys.
sorry, they've got a
And
mindset.
have them give an opportunity to
Well, that's,
say, put your
it's
what
not
you
really.
want.
I've got that on my to-do list.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
maybe we
take
could, I think,
these maps,
did I say
take the localities and say, what do you think of this? That's a good way to get feedback. They'll get
And
feedback.
I talked to Jeremy about it, and none of it sounded
I
like
think,
monumental.
yeah, contact and send me.
Yeah, I'll take care of that. I'll work with you, I won't send it to you without.
Done, yeah, we have, yeah, but I just want to make sure they get plenty of time, because by the time we come down to 30 days, the 60 day, we'll all
No
be
surveys,
solved.
nothing.
And I'd rather just tell them, hey, give us your, whatever you have.
And my feeling is that
You know, by that.
as long as the community's involved and there's agreed
I'm
upon,
afraid that a
but
lot
with
of
30
things
people
we will
to
be
find
doing,
vision plans
Deadline
and
is gonna
the
be worried
Beaver
because.
Creek Council decided unilaterally that they were waiting
They
to
are,
wait.
yeah.
Especially that new
There were
lady
no
out
options.
there.
There
what's her name?
Karen.
Karen.
Headed by Janet Daniel,
Just
whom
so-
I'm sure you know.
Concentrated because they, they're so closely related.
I'm still in the process of conducting, basically west of Sedona, there are a lot of neighborhoods that are kind of scattered around.
Right.
And so I've been doing it, actually, I was helping them do a survey, put
Well, I can't wait to see what
all the
you guys
questions
do.
together. It took us about 6 weeks to do it. They're still running the survey, but we got very good participation.
Well, and I'm moving to bet, if you look at even the vision survey, the 9% of the responses, I'll bet 75% of them are from the Verde Valley. Everyone is engaged in this kind of
That's
stuff.
true, there's a big contrast, you look at.
I mean, when we did the housing study, of the 70,000 in the Verde Valley, we got something like a 2,000 person response. They were astounded.
Yeah. Well, I think what I saw is the key in ours, we had a lot of response too, but it's a crafting of the survey. If they go down the list and this is my concern, this is my concern, they'll finish the survey. On the other hand, if you have very difficult.
Right, and we spent hours. I mean, Sedona did their survey first,
No, this is my
then we took their survey, we made it even better. Spent a long time
No, this week is
crafting it. And the other thing that I think we should have on the survey and don't, because I think it's valid, like for Connie or Sandra was saying, there should be an NA by every question. If there isn't, I mean, because then again, it's skewed, because people are forced to answer something they may not know. So
Yeah.
if there's an NA, even if it's not an appropriate answer, it's a better answer than.
We, in our survey, we said, if there's any question, to go to the answer.
Go on.
So that doesn't hold them up that way.
15.
Monday, Wednesday are good.
VOA Thursday?
COA to 15.
Which is
So
what?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
So Monday or Wednesday are best.
Okay, that'll work for me.
Wednesday?
Wednesday?
Either one.
Wednesday we have.
I'm gonna turn in my weapons.
Oh, we do?
We have MJ's Cafe, we're voting that too.
Okay, but we can meet, like, after, yeah.
You know, locating the ones that are on
Yeah, perfect.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah, let's do
We'll just
Wednesday
try to make
afternoon.
Exactly. Like exactly.
Okay, after board? Okay.
So you guys meet us around 11:30?
Because you need to make it so GIS can understand what
Yeah,
you're doing.
and then we'll meet with GIS and go over this map and nail down what came out of today's, and then we'll give you a fresh new look.
So you include all the permits and
Yeah.
census data. and
Right,
stuff.
or we'll try the census data, that's something I've got to talk to, that's why I'm having a meeting next week.
Just so you know, all the maps that it appears
Right.
we've already finished up with, I've
Right.
written on the table over there, so if you wanna go back and reference them and make
Right.
additional marks or anything.
Yeah, and the census data, like I said, they go by tract and stuff, so we're gonna try to figure out the best way, how we can,
Well, I'm thinking, it's in addition to this, so
Right.
you should see a correlation there, certainly between the residential permits.
So Wednesday, I'm
Not that much.
just us, meet
Yeah.
and go over these maps.
Yep.
Bring Brandon, and then, whatever we have to do, get the fresh copy done and put it into an actual growth map, replicate this. The area they picked up, have Brandon put it up. That's what we're gonna discuss.
Okay. Yeah.
And then Jessica can start working on her. So Jessica will be able to come down, so it's,
Okay.
and I'll be there.
Yep, sounds good.
So right after, we'll meet for lunch at 11:30 and then go to work.
Okay. And, yeah, you're coming over here, right? The board?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll be there Monday, hopefully.
I think can't remember what we've got on the agenda. I think it's just MJ's Cafe or something.
Yeah, that's a pretty slam dunk,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And that lady came out and P&Z didn't have an issue.
Okay.
But I did make very good stride. I mean, I got really lucky. I got the forest people, National Forest, so found out it's Prescott National Forest people are not responsible. He connected me to somebody in Coconino County.
Good.
So that retreat where the P&Z, tabled it.
Mm.
So I'm gonna have him there. I'm getting
yeah.
the flood control there. I'm gonna building safety there. I'm planning there. We're all going to the site.
Great.
Solve all the problem on same day and then meet P&Z.
Good. Great. Great.
Yes.
You guys sound busy.
Oh, man.
God, oh man, I mean, I know, that's why when sometimes we get questions, oh no. I mean, yeah, we are, sometimes I work like I worked a 10-hour shift, that's the only way I can get things done.
Yeah.
And I
I
was,
just cannot do, it just doesn't happen because a lot of time I forget to go to bathroom.
You're working 4/10s, is that the idea?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Good schedule.
I get a lot more done because then after 6, 7 o'clock, the calls and stuff,
Yeah.
before it's done, then I can focus because, you lose focus because you're doing 2, 3 things at the same time.
Yeah, yeah.
we've been working on the department budget, it's county budget time, so I've been working on the department budget for the last month.
Uh-huh.
So, I've been buried in that. Kazi's been handling all the CPAC stuff, and then we're in the middle of this water stuff right at the time,
Yes.
right at the deadline for budget submittal. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing everything I can. So it's keeping us busy for sure.
Well, the water thing will be over this week, so.
Well, and that's very good information too. That's been very
Okay,
productive.
we've had a good opportunity to mark up on the maps pretty well. We still have some other agenda items that we need to work through, and we still have some public online, and they may want an opportunity to express their views. So why don't we go ahead and press on?
John, you want to pass that down, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Why don't we go ahead and press on? I think we've wrapped up new business at this point, for today anyhow. So Jeremy, if you don't mind, let's jump into other business. Upcoming items of interest of the Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Certainly.
Just a couple of things here to mention. Everybody received a copy of the Comprehensive Plan Update 2032 schedule. What we've been doing is keeping a close eye, and this was actually at Supervisor Oberg's request here last month as well, but we've been keeping a close eye on where we're at in terms of our progress on the comprehensive plan, and we've made some adjustments in our schedule for the rest of the year. So everybody's got a copy of the schedule here, and it's a very aggressive schedule, but it does give us an opportunity to take time where we need to take the time for some of the elements that require more attention, such as the growth area element. So take a look at that. This is the schedule that we're going to hold to for the rest of the year, with the goal of having the comprehensive plan adopted by the Board of Supervisors at the end of this year. And why is that important to us as staff? It's important to us because we have given, based on what initiatives come out of this, or what recommendations or goals comes out of the comprehensive plan, those are the goals we're going to start working on in the following year in this department. So with our resource availability, we're going to start making adjustments to the doing some of the proactive rezoning that comes out of this, some of the other priorities that we have on our schedule as well. So this will be what we hold to for the rest of the year. And barring any unforeseen circumstances, we hope to have this comprehensive plan completed here by the end of this year.
Wonderful. Yeah, it looks like December is the last planned activity.
Mm-hmm.
Special planning and zoning meeting with a draft comp plan and updated recommendations.
So it's a busy schedule, but it does give us the time that we need. And of course, we're going to be communicating with you in between meetings as well, so that you have homework and research that you're able to take care of before the meetings as well. Kazi was good enough to introduce John Froke to us all as an additional staff member. We appreciate his help, and so he'll be working diligently on the comprehensive plan as well as another team member. And also, Mr. Chairman, just as part of our outreach, ongoing outreach conversation too, I did a news segment on KYCA last week as well for the comprehensive plan. And yeah, I didn't hear myself. I don't know how it came out, but it they said it was good. So.
Well, I think it's available. Let's all check it out. Just kidding.
So the word is still getting out there, and as we talked about earlier, we still have work to do to get out to some of these communities. We haven't done any community meetings with in the Supervisor District 5, the Prescott Valley area. That's Supervisor Mallory's district. I'm going to start working with her next. I meet with her tomorrow, and I'm going to bring that up to her as well, just to let her know that we need to get into her community to start talking about the comp plan message.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Anything else?
That's all I have. Kazi's got his hand up.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chairman, this is one thing I want to request the committee, because you are, you're the architect of this document, and I think, like you mentioned, Mary, when you have opportunity for us to come and speak or present something, I want to do that, and please let us know. Any place of your choice, and as long as it's during weekdays, that really helps us, because, weekend, it's very tough to pull a weekend. But if we have to, we can do weekends too, but most likely, it's preferable is the weekdays. So let us know where we can come and talk to people, where we can share information.
Are you wanting to have evening meetings, or?
Yeah, evening is fine.
Day, or?
On weekday, as long as it's weekday, I can handle evening meetings.
Yeah, he's already working 10-hour days. So
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that you guys understand. And if you have any question on this schedule, the deadline, this is pretty robust. We have things that already been doled out for who is going to do what. I want to briefly talk about the water and transportation element. We have these transportation experts. One of your committee member, Vinny Gallegos, he leads SIMPO. He is in charge of doing that, along with our Public Works Director, Assistant Director, Robert McMurphy. So they are all working together. They know they have so many documents they have in their disposal. They know where they are. They work closely with ADOT. So they'll come up with a very refined documents where we won't have a whole lot to input except your approval perhaps. But you'll be able to take a good look at where they're going, peek at the future, if you will. And so that's done. Then water also, we are fortunate, as Mr. Black and Chairman Osman knows, that we are going through a water smart workshop. It's been very helpful. So we are getting a lot of great input on that. And our experts in the flood control district, the director out there and her staff are working on the water document. They were the one who did the last one of the staff. So those technical stuff that we know very little, it's been handled by them. So these two documents are coming to you relatively soon. I'm hoping by end of April or May, you'll be able to review it and give your comments and blessings, if you will. And then I have two more other comments to make, and those are because we have open space and we have cost of development. So open space is something Yavapai County really doesn't have what I want to call department, open space department, or they don't have. So we basically show what other cities and towns surrounding us are doing and uphold that. And then maybe leave an opportunity in the future that if we do anything, we can point those out. But Yavapai County, since they don't have any developed department, we cannot impose any type of anything in the book that says, hey, we shall maintain it or we'll do this and that. We just can't do that. So we'll talk about it when we get to a draft. Jessica will be working on the draft. And then I've asked John to work on the cost of development. And cost of development will involve Public Works Department, Yavapai County Sheriff's Office, our department, Planning Department, and perhaps Flood Control District to talk about where are our CIP, those big costs are, and what we need to do. And then also like growth area map you did right now, we're gonna try to put it in the map. Then maybe someday it'll go on a CIP. So maybe Beaver Creek can be something that we can look at, that road you're talking about in 5-year plan or 10-year plan, but this is the start. So that cost of development is coming to you also in June. And one last question I have is that we also, because of this workshop we attended, we decided that we have to have an implementation plan. It's a section, and that's the one there where we're able to measure and we're able to implement. So every year, a lot of cities and towns take upon themselves and make the duty of planning department or any other department to report on the progress that's been made. Like, for example, when we go to Planning and Zoning Commission, we go to Board of Supervisors, we take a case, we take a project, we outline which part of the comprehensive plan did it meet. We highlight that section and say it is concurrent or it meets that section. So that's something we can tabulate. And then a comprehensive plan, this one, the way I see it happen, it will be an interactive, web-based when it's completely done. And then when it's done that way, did I leave it? Okay. So when it gets done, then we will be able to, you'll be able to click on it, and everything we are doing out there, it will itself, at the end of the day, leave all the things that we have done in the comprehensive plan. So we'll have a report almost done. So that implementation plan, I'll be working with Jessica and get that done and send it to you for review. It's a pretty straightforward document. It's like a boilerplate, if you will. Every cities and towns have those, so there's nothing unique about it. Yes.
I know one of the things we haven't discussed yet, and I know at the beginning of our planning, maybe a year or so ago, we talked about having the opportunity to add some different elements. You know, currently, we're just looking at the standard statutory elements. Are we going to have that discussion and the potential, because I know we said in looking at even some of the other vision statements and across the county, they've identified some elements that aren't necessarily in the statute elements. Are we going to address that?
I think, I mean, I'll take a shot and I'll let Jeremy speak to it. But I think, you know, because of time constraint, and then, you know, as you know, for example, food, sustainability, and all other things that we put it out there in our survey question, those are in itself a big topic people are talking about these days. You know, resiliency, hazard mitigation, a lot of things that are very important for communities to think about. You have to talk about resiliency. How do you survive an earthquake? How do you survive flooding? Where are those things coming? What can you do to protect yourself, prevent those things from happening? So yeah, but I think the best part is that once we get this document done, we should be open for other amendments as soon as we get done. So when we get done, we can come back for an amendment.
Right, and some of the, like the food issue, I mean, those are policies that'll go into the open space. You know, there's certain things in dark skies.
We can fit it in,
those comments and stuff, those are those policies we put in there, but they can later on stand on their own. But as, so I know you mentioned like the December timeframe. The actual important date that you guys need to know is the September 30th.
Yeah.
That is basically the drop dead date of a final document because then that begins the 30-day, even though it's not done, but that means the work here is definitely done. So that's the important, that's like crazy how fast that's all gonna go, including the land use chapter. So it's like to add, I think we originally were talking with David about those things. We were going to talk about adding like things that could be added on to later, like historic and all kinds of stuff. But it just got to be really long in the time frame, and then missing all those days last summer, with months actually, it just killed it.
So maybe what we need to do, because I think food security is a big one, right? And it has come up in almost every individual plan. For example, I think we need to make sure in some way we are addressing it in our plan. I honestly don't remember if we have or not, but I think it's critical to take a look at the community vision statements and what they've done. And if every community is coming up with some of those key issues, somehow we've got to address them, I think.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not a separate element, but food security is huge in the county. It needs to be in the plan.
Well, we surveyed it, so we have information. Right.
Exactly. So we need to find somehow and incorporate it in one of the current elements, however we choose to do that. I think we need to.
And I think it will not, I think there's also a possibility that at some point we can have our wish list, bucket wish list built and add it out there, that when time prevails, we want to focus on this and elaborate on it. And add a page in the comprehensive plan, say, okay, these are our wish list, you know. But I think food security, I would definitely, because Chairman said we already have some survey response, let's go ahead and plug it in where it fits best.
Yeah.
In open space, in land use, wherever, you know.
Yeah, put the policy in place in the land use, so that when you update the zoning code, you can make changes to allow permitted uses or facilities or residential, you know, landscaping to have their own whatever without being punished.
I've noticed in the community vision statements, when they do their surveys, they'll cover the 8 elements, and then they sometimes will have additional, and because some of these topics we're talking about might not justify a full, you know, element. But that gives you a place to cover the various things.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's so many issues, like right now as we are talking about water, I mean, we could write a lot of things on water itself, like, you know, so, and there's some that we discussed. And best part is that what you are doing with this comprehensive plan, it'll send us back to the desk again to work on the zoning ordinance, because basically that's where comprehensive plan implements zoning and subdivision regulation. That's where the rules start taking place, right? So we'll have to go back and take care of all those things, to allowing, like Jessica mentioned, people who wants to have a garden in the front, why not? You know, I mean, if it's a usable space and, you know, they want to grow some okras and beans, I don't care. I mean, instead of flowers. So, I mean, that's a choice they make, right? And that's something we should be open to it. Then there's also a big rush for ADU, you know, the dwelling units. People cannot afford the grandma's granny quarters is also known as something like that.
Right.
So we want to see those areas being addressed.
Perfect.
There's one other issue I noticed in these surveys. Right now, Arizona law doesn't permit counties or municipalities to regulate the short-term rentals, okay? But I found that there were questions in there, and their justification for those questions is, this is a 10-year plan. We don't know what the law is going to say 3 years from now. They're already talking about modifying it. So they justified putting those questions in about, would you like to see more local regulation of Airbnbs, so that the results of the survey would indicate at least what people wanted. And then later on, if the rules change, that gives the county some guidance as to what.
Makes sense.
Sure, very good. Anything else?
That's it, sir.
Okay, good. Well, in that case, we're going to go on to other business number 2, roundtable for committee members for any topics not included on the agenda. So Sandra, we'll start with you. Do you have anything?
Yes, I would like to, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I would like to address Jeremy and tell him you are meeting with Supervisor Mallory regarding District 5, which is predominantly PV, but there's a large portion of PV that is in District 2, James Gregory's area. So maybe if you want to get more input from Prescott Valley, you might need to talk to both of them. Stone Ridge and the Prescott Country Club, which are both quite large, are in District 2.
Oh.
Even though they're in the Prescott Valley town limits.
And yes, ma'am, I met with Supervisor Gregory yesterday afternoon, and I've been talking to him quite a bit about the comprehensive plan, and I've done several of his, I've met with several of his communities already to talk about that.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And if you need help in some of the other communities, I can help you.
Okay, great. Is Connie still there, or is she?
She had to leave. She had a doctor's appointment.
Right. Okay, no problem.
Did somebody come and get your lunch?
Yes, we did. Thank you. You've been very hospitable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vinny, do you have
Great
anything?
staff. Great staff.
Mr. Chairman, this is Vinny. I don't have anything, and I need to jump off for another meeting, but thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Thanks. I think this is a very productive meeting today. We got a lot done. So thank you, Vinny. Appreciate it. Okay, I guess we're back into our room again. Running around the table. John, you've already had.
I think I've already said a lot, so.
I'm not gonna say that. Mary, do you have anything
Ditto
else?
on John.
Ditto on John, okay. And I don't really have anything in addition to, so I think that's pretty much the round table today. Is there anybody that I missed? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'd like to do a call to the public now. We had a couple of public members that had hung on with us. I don't know if they're still with us or not. But if they are, I would love, if you have anything that you would like to address the committee concerning, this is your opportunity.
Yes, we do have Mr. Thomas Blanc, so
Okay.
I will unmute.
Good morning, Thomas. Actually, good afternoon, Thomas.
Yes, good afternoon, committee. Thank you for taking my call. I just, observation, not really a complaint, but just an observation that you were looking at the permits that have been applied for in the past. And to me, that's not very forward thinking. We're thinking about the next 10 years, not the last 3 years. When designating what would be a growth area, I think it would be important to first identify what a growth area means. I didn't really catch any definition today about what a growth area is. When you're talking about Beaver Creek in particular, the first growth area you talked about, it was mentioned that they don't have the infrastructure to be a growth area. All the land there in Beaver Creek is already zoned. I don't know where you're going to grow Beaver Creek. The population there of 5,000 could be up to 10,000 in the next couple of years. They definitely do not want any growth. You have to listen to the public, listen to the citizens, and not listen to past data, old data. Thank you for your time. I just hope you
Okay,
take
yeah.
those points into consideration.
Yeah, that's fine, and we will. Just some clarification. The development that was put, the permits that had been pulled, that was put up on the board, were within the last 3 years. So it wasn't ancient information, but we only used that to show us trends. That's all we were looking at, Thomas. We didn't isolate those areas as the only potential growth areas. That's all. We were just using them as for trending. But good point on your comments. Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else online with us that would like to speak?
I don't see anybody else.
Okay, well, that sounds like that's the end of the call to public. If there's nothing else to come before this committee this morning, then we're going to adjourn and eat pizza. Going once, going twice. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Have some victory.